You're listening to the Drinks and a Movie podcast, hosted by Rudy Ruiz. Spoiler alert.
All right, yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Drinks and a Movie podcast. Thanks for tuning in on this special episode. I've got two dear good friends. They are producers, line producers, Miramax, I guess. Is line producer the right title?
Line producer, yeah. Okay. Line producer, UPM, executive producers, producers sometimes.
All the above.
Yeah.
Production extraordinaires.
There you go. We got Lauren Hood and Dan Lawler here. So thank you guys for joining. Lauren, first time. Dan, you were on for the Die Hard episode back in like the early days of the podcast.
Man, pre-lockdown. Back when
Holy shit.
we were free to just roam around.
Yeah.
What did that feel like?
Yeah. Well, for this one, before we dig into it, so we're just going to talk, everybody, just to kind of set the stage here, just about what you guys do, what the producing gig entails. You know, you guys recently worked on what is possibly my favorite movie of the year.
Hey.
Strange Darling just came out, directed by J.T. Molnar, right? So I know you guys were involved with that.
Yeah.
So we'll chat about that a little bit. I'm actually recording out of the Real Generation Gap studio, so this is pretty cool. So new look. We probably won't be here all the time, but yeah, we're actually going to be talking about this movie on Friday too.
Oh, cool.
That was my pitch. So me and the other host, we each pitch a movie, so we do 2 movies a day, and this was my pick. So I'm really interested to see what he's going to have to say about this one.
Right.
Blu-ray's in the mail, so that's on the way.
Nice.
But yeah, let's get into these drinks now. So we're going to do some mezcal. Well, you've got a virgin, crazy, grenadine, colorful drink.
Sure
what are you
do.
rocking over there?
Yeah, what are you calling this thing?
What did I say it was going to be?
It's the pineapple.
Pineapple sunrise? No.
There it is. That's
Yeah.
the one.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, with some bramble top. Some bramble top
And some
bubbles.
fruits.
It's all right there. It's
Yeah.
mezcal.
Yeah.
We're drinking mezcal today, though.
Yeah. So I've got a couple options here. This one I have not opened yet. This is from El Salvadores I can't speak Spanish, sorry. Destilado con frutos rojas, blackberries and raspberries.
All right.
So I'm guessing, this is actually a store pick from Louis Liquor in Azusa, California. So it's kind of crazy because we know that there's a lot of whiskey store picks, but now these mezcal store picks, like single barrels, are becoming a thing. So I'll just pass this one to you, actually.
Yeah. Sure thing.
Curious how this one's going to go. I have another one of their store picks that's distilled with, I think it was coffee. So that one was pretty good, but blackberries and raspberries, ensemble, 100% agave, coming in at 100.4 proof, which is really nice. I love that high proof. So yeah, let's dig in. Again, Louis Liquor.
So
in
light.
Azusa.
I mean, completely white.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Let's see how this wonderful mocktail tastes.
Probably about the same. Right? I'm getting lots of notes of grenadine and pineapple in this. No. That's good, man.
I taste that.
It's sharp. You know, I usually like a mezcal. I usually like it dirty. Give it to me dark and smoky and just a mess. And this is a different animal. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Sharp is a good way to put it. It's not as fruit forward as I thought it was going to be, like on the nose.
Yeah, based on the label.
On the label. On the nose, I definitely get that rounded, like kind of berry, a little bit of like raspberry for sure. But other than that, it's like a pretty, to me, I guess like a typical mezcal. Definitely sharp. I do like that 100.4 proof, but first sip of the day is kind of killing me a bit.
It's hot. It's hotter than the weather's been, man.
Yeah.
This actually tastes like the sex on the beaches I used to get in Vegas when I was playing blackjack.
I don't know. That's a questionable sentence, just overall.
Well, I mean, clearly there was no beach there. So it must have just been the drink.
That's the thing, though. I mean, it's all sand. So you're only missing one ocean. You got a beach. Am I wrong?
Fine.
Yeah. This one's pretty good. I also got, if you want to try these out at some point, Mezcal 33. Friends of the show. James Humphrey, brand ambassador, has been on before, so she gave the whole rundown on these, and they're probably my favorite mezcals. So
nice. We
got these. This one's actually a reposado, so obviously it's been aged, as you know, for a few months. So that's a banger. This one's a banger. I know you said you like it dirty. I feel like this one's pretty clean.
Yeah.
Like super easy sipping, very citrus forward.
Sure.
Like throw it on ice and you might as well have like a strong mezcal margarita.
Yeah.
But the last person I had it with, I had Alec Gillis on the show recently. He did the special like creature effects on Aliens, Alien 3,
killer.
Prey,
Yeah.
Alien vs. Tremors.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he came up in like the Corman era, like with
Oh
James
my God.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Like they used to smoke pot in the garage
my
together
God.
type shit. So, so he tried this and he said that he thought this one was super smoky and like really punchy. And I was like, holy shit, wow, it's never,
Yeah.
I feel like it's not like that. But if you get to try it at some point later, let me know your thoughts. But anyway, yeah, let's dig into, what you all are about. So, I mean, I guess I know, Lauren, you've told me before that I think you started out with Asylum.
I did.
Or I guess, how do I even phrase this? How did you guys both, let's start with Lauren, like how did you even get into the door into the filmmaking world and particularly producing? Because producing is such an interesting kind of job to me. So why that? How did that work out? And then I want to hear Dan's take on that too.
Sure.
Sure. I mean, mine actually started off in college. I got a degree in the music industry actually, and I was thinking about going into like management or being an agent or something, and something about the music industry just didn't like mesh with who I was. And so when I graduated, I went home and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I went back to Scottsdale Community College where they have a film program there. And I took one class. The first class, the teacher was like, "You're going to be a UPM." So literally for the rest of I'm not kidding. Like from day freaking one, I was like pegged as the UPM producer of the entire school while I was there, and got a lot of experience on shorts doing that. And then
It takes a certain type.
right,
It takes a certain
sure
type
does.
to do it, to want
Right.
to do it.
You gotta love the paperwork. You gotta love them numbers.
Yeah, some of the, there's a variety of pain points that are
Literally.
not for the average job.
True masochist here. True masochist.
That's like first ADs seem like that kind of gig too. Like,
Yeah.
it takes a special type of personality.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, similar
Yeah.
mind. I mean, similar. They're in that same kind of department.
Yep.
When we first ADs will bump up to UPM, depending on how the unit might be structured.
Yep.
And when you bump up that way, it's they don't often feel like one job apart, but in
Yeah.
some ways they are.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that was a track. So first ADs will
It
go
is.
to, okay.
And
Yeah.
not to say anything about career path. Anybody
Right,
can do what
right.
they want career path wise. But as far as when you see that credits roll, it's
Yeah.
UPM first AD, second AD before everybody else, and that's part of the DGA credit contract, whatever. But that's very much our. I don't know. I mean, I feel like my department is production department, production office, and that behind the scenes, that offset stuff. But the UPM, I mean, that's very much the line producer role, I guess, is behind the scenes, and the UPM is there on the set. So in that role,
Yeah.
you're there with the first AD, monitoring the unit and what we're shooting today and what the schedule is and where we're going next. And in that, it's connected.
Yeah, but now we've got the blend of the line producer UPM
Right.
on a lot of shows too. So they've kind of meshed those two roles, which I'm actually glad that I went on the track that I did. Did I try to be a first AD? I sure did, and I hated every second of it.
Really?
Like hated it. But once I finally graduated from all the college, I came out here, and I don't know, I just lucked out from here and there. I PA'd a little bit and then just kind of worked my way into doing the production office. And I've been there ever since. So I've been spending my time in the office for, I don't know, maybe 14 friggin' years or some crap like that.
And where was that? Where was that teacher that identified you as the UPM in school?
Scottsdale Community College.
Yeah.
Where
How
was
old were
she?
you?
Oh my, I mean, I was old by the time I was at that point. I mean, everyone else was like maybe 6 years younger than,
Oh, wow.
8 years
Yeah.
younger than me. I was 28.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I was a career student, so I spent a lot of time in school.
yeah.
Well, I guess what were your qualities that made them peg you as that? Like you're just like super organized. I don't know.
Dude, that's a really good question. I don't know. Yeah, like I probably just got it from my business classes, but not that I'm saying I was such a leader, but like I did kind of have that. I just got out of business school. I was like,
Sure.
We
Yeah.
needed guidance. We needed, someone to say, okay, we need to do X, Y, Z. Let's do it this way. And like, not necessarily delegating, but yeah, kind of delegating. And I think that's what she kind of like keyed in on.
But business oversight is definitely part of the job.
Absolutely. Like honestly, that first degree, I never thought I was going to end up here. Like in the film industry. I'm really glad that I'm exactly where I'm at, but I thought I literally was going to live and die in the music industry. Like, it's just what I thought I was going to do.
What were you trying to do in the music industry? Because I was trying to do music first as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, as a performer.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, teacher, performer, and then I was like, there's no career in this for me.
Sure.
Like,
There's a lot of us that kind of did that,
Yeah.
though, I think. I have been a singer since since I could talk. So I was a performer first and foremost. And then I just started thinking, like, do I want to worry about an image like the rest of these people in the industry? No, I really don't. And then I literally thought I made this up on my own, but I was like, what about the business of music? Literally, that's what I said to myself. What about the business of music? There has to be a business side of it. And lo and behold, Scottsdale Community College, I love you. On the complete opposite end of the campus, I had no idea we had a film school for over 45 something years, but we did. Anyway, there was a music business class, and I took that, and it just sent me down this permanent route of getting my music business degree and then learning just so much more about the business, the entertainment industry as a whole. And then it just kind of naturally went into the film side of it too. I mean,
Is that where the Asylum came in for you?
The Asylum, interesting. So there were a couple of times that I actually went to the Asylum with a couple of programs, let's just call them. They're like, oh, let's go meet
Like a student
these
program?
people. Yeah. Yeah. And the first time I ever saw them was maybe 2010. I walked into their office, but then it took until 2013, and I coordinated one show. I UPM'd 2 shows after that, and then they smacked me into line producer for the next 6.5 years of my life.
And when you say show, you're talking a movie.
I am absolutely, yes. Every single one of them was a feature. I mean, of course,
How
there were
long
the
are you-
occasional
How long are you shooting on these? When you started, how many days are the shoots?
So when we first started, they were 15 days, 15-day features, and they could be Christmas movies, all the way to your Sharknadoes and everything else in that realm. And now they spend a collective 6 days on their features.
crazy.
Which,
Ludicrous.
yeah.
It's nuts. And
Yeah.
you shoot it straight. Just 6-day block. Boom, there's your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for anyone who might not know, Asylum that we're referring to is the production company that puts out the Sharknado movies. And I've heard this title. Do they call it Mockbusters or something? Where it'll be
They do.
instead of Terminator, it's Exterminator,
Right, or instead of Transformers.
Transmorphers. Yeah.
Transmorphers.
Yeah.
That's a funny one.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
guess that's more real. I mean, I don't know. I guess on streaming, there's so much content out, but that seems like that was probably a bigger deal in the days of Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, because the titles, and they purposely make the fonts and
I
everything
guess it
look
seems
very
like that,
similar.
but
Because you just see the cases on the.
100% positive that I rented one of their movies thinking
really?
it was one thing
Right.
that I wanted to. I'm not kidding.
Mistake money.
Yes, I was so pissed. It was before I even knew I was going to get into movies. But then, but then I had spent 6.5 years there, and COVID hits. And, we're all like, what the heck are we going to do with the rest of our lives? La, 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 la. And I get a phone call from it was.
guess.
I mean, look, if
It was a trying time.
If you were producing the movies that I was producing, and you're like, what am I doing with my life? No. I love you guys. I love the Asylum. They're good people. I got a phone call from a friend of mine. And he said, so I've got, do you know a union APOC? And I'm like, no, but I know a really good, what did I say? I know a really good office PA if you'll give her a chance with no ego. And he said, you'll do this? And I was like, yes, because he had worked with me as a line producer he just considered me as an LP for the longest time. And I said, yeah, I will literally, I'll do anything for you, whatever you'd like, because I want to do bigger things. I want to do bigger movies and get on union shows and just learn more, right? I had kind of hit a point in my Asylum career that I felt like I had learned so much already, but now I was ready for that next step. Anyway, and he said, well, let me talk to my coordinator, let me see what I can do. And I didn't hear anything for a week. And I thought, okay, well, whatever. I've still got the Asylum. It's okay. And I think a week later, Dan calls me. And interviews me and got on a show with him as production secretary. And then that's just kind of how we got in together. And I've been working with Dan ever since. We were working with Miramax for several years.
Yeah.
And
So that was He's All That. The everyone's favorite remake of the movie She's All That. Ask anyone, their favorite remake of that movie is He's All That. I stand by that to this day. And we made that the fall of 2020. And that was my second movie with Miramax. It was Lauren's first. And it was such a bold move for Lauren to be able to be willing to step down as far as she did in order to switch to a ladder that had a higher reach.
Right.
It was really ballsy.
I just felt really privileged, though, to have been a part of that. I really did. Like, I felt like I was finally doing something that felt good with my career. Not that I'm saying Asylum was like a horrible experience.
Right.
It absolutely was not.
Do you have a wire on you? I guess this is going on the internet. Anybody can see it.
know.
Oh my God.
No. I had wonderful times with the Asylum, and then we've also had horrible times, and they know that, we know that. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
sounds like heavy lifting over there, you know? It sounds tough.
I'm trying to be diplomatic. No, but I felt like, oh my God, like this is the greatest opportunity that I've ever had in my career. And we did these movies and they were fully union. And then like, I got to just, I don't know. I just felt like I was finally doing something real. And I mean, it was 6 weeks of our lives? Maybe, no, it
The
was
shoots, yeah, less. I mean, maybe 5 probably.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I just shoot, yeah, and then 5 prep and whatever.
It was just, I don't know, it just felt so awesome to have been a part of something like that. I mean, I never looked at it at a way of like, oh my God, like I'm like taking 15 steps below.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because at that time Lauren had already produced 30 features as a line producer. So for her to step down, the call was, here's a line producer at the head of all production. This guy calling was the line producer of that movie. He went on to be the VP of Miramax, and he's VP on this movie right here. He's right there on the poster, right down there, just 2 names away from me in the bottom right corner, Michael Zampino. And he calls asking his line producer friend, "Do you know?" So underneath me is production supervisor coordinator Dan, and we're looking for someone underneath him as APOC. Do you know anyone who can work that union job? And Lauren says, no, but I'll come in below that person.
What is APOC?
APOC, I guess maybe now it's APC. It's the assistant production coordinator. Used to be assistant production office coordinator. Okay. But I think that made the coordinator the POC, and I think that we know, there's ambiguity there, certainly. So is this POC a POC, or is he just a POS? I don't know what. So Lauren went all the way down to non-union position of production secretary and sat in the office right next to me, and we've done a bunch of movies since.
Yep. Yeah.
It's been good.
Yeah.
And I mean, so for me, I moved out to LA at 19. I dropped out of college. I didn't go to all the extra college. I went to as little college as you can go to while still going to college, plus 1 year. So I went I was going to SUNY New Paltz for theater in central New York. I was a theater department kid. I knew I always wanted to make movies, and I thought the way to do that was to be Adam Sandler. I was pretty sure that was the method. So I figured, okay, I'm gonna be on SNL, obviously. So I'm gonna do stand up, and then we'll start maybe making movies from there. So I guess I'll go do performance stuff. A couple of years in, I don't know, I like plays, I like live stuff. I got into improv, and that's what I really liked. And I found out in my second year of school that there was a film department at this school, and it was completely separate from theater. And it was really discouraging because all I ever wanted to do was on-camera stuff. And I wanted to figure out, I mean, if I could have conceptualized, if I could have had a 10,000-foot view, I would have started as a director, writing, directing, and make the thing. Because I always knew I wanted to make the thing. I didn't know what it meant. So, it just felt like a couple of years on the wrong track. So I left school. I moved out to LA. I went to the Groundlings at 19 and 20, got into stand-up, did commercial acting and voiceover for stuff. I was always writing. I took, I did stand-up on the road for a little while. I toured the U.S. on some little indie, solo kind of gigs and stuff. And I started producing podcasts in like 2012, 13, 14, something like that. And that, for me, is when I started to tip towards production. Occasionally, I worked as a production assistant, an art PA. I grew up doing construction. My dad had a roofing company, so I was used to like manual labor and building things.
Yeah.
So I did that and got on sets. And at some point, my friend Fiona Walsh asked me to come PA for her. And she's another line producer, UPM. She's now in-house at a studio owned by Disney. And she was the first of a few really great mentors that I had for production. They're all women. They have just kind of shown me the ropes from the inside out. And I was able to identify, not that long ago, within not 10 years ago, started looking at how to actually become a producer, which was my long-term goal. And for me, I picked the production office as the most challenging path. I knew that I could deal with all of the logistics. Once I started to do it a little bit, once I was an office PA on Clemency, and around the last time I did your podcast, I realized that I could handle all of those logistics, and I wanted to go straight through the production office. It looked like the hardest path, but the path to get me where I wanted to be. So I started plowing through that up to coordinator, to supervisor, to UPM, and started getting my hands on the budget whenever I could, and learning as much as I could from Fiona, from Janelle Canastra, Marina Stabile, from Michael Zampino, and now from Lauren, who it's great. I'm able to hire her and ask her questions about how to do my job. It's great. But we've had very different paths to this point to be in a similar spot. It's funny. We do a lot of the same work.
Yeah.
But we're lucky enough to be able to work together doing that.
Yeah.
We're good at trading a lot of those responsibilities, but you have to be
true.
good at math and logistics and communication.
Yeah.
And you have to know how movies are made. I think that's why I chose the path, is I want to know the most about making movies. I can learn that here. Production office deals with 100% of the logistics of the shoot. If I go
Everything.
straight up the gut of that thing, I'll know how to make a movie.
Yeah.
Literally, you have your hands in every department. Every department. Sometimes you don't actually realize it, but you're always making phone calls for people. It doesn't really matter who you are, what department you're in. If there's something that they need help with anything, we're always there to assist and make sure that it gets done.
And we're learning all the time, from reading contracts
Oh, yeah.
and looking over quotes. I have to ask, what is this? What are we paying for?
Right.
I think that's what is the coolest thing for me in our career is that I never stop learning.
Yeah,
I
right.
love it. There's always each job has
Some
something.
new camera thing.
Yeah.
You're like, cool, that's a few grand. What is that?
Yeah. So
what does a Rialto extension do?
Oh, that's what that
sounds
looks
fun.
like. Okay.
in your roles, so say the cinematographer, director of photography, are you the ones that they are negotiating for, like you said, a piece of gear? Like, are they going through you guys? Like, hey, we need for what the director wants to accomplish here. Yeah. We need this particular tool, and then you got to have that negotiation.
So what's really interesting about line producer UPM is you really have to play both ways. You really have to play offense and defense all the time. So when say camera comes to me and they say we really need this piece of gear to get this thing done, I want to give them that. I want nothing more than to say yes to that.
Yeah.
So I have to see how much does it cost? Can we afford it? What are the logistics? Everything that goes into it? And if I can make it work, then great. If it gets stuck somewhere there, then I have to go in and drill down and find out what the issue is. So if that means negotiating with the gear house about the rate, then we go and do that. If it means that at the end of the day, there is no way to get this thing for the amount of dollars that we can possibly put towards it, then I have to go back, and it becomes a different kind of negotiation with the crew and say, with the team, and say that specific thing you want can't be done on this particular show, if that's the case. If I'm not given the money to use for it, then the money can't be spent on it.
Right.
So then it's just being creative and finding a solution. And I think that's what we did, both of us, a lot on Strange Darling. I was in house at Miramax at the time, and I traveled up for the Tech Scout. I met JT and Giovanni and the team, and it was cool. JT was playing Z-Berg music on the scout bus saying, I want to have this chick
Really?
do the entire score of the movie. We're all like, whoa. He's like, not these
Amazing.
songs. She's going to write custom songs. And like, that sounded cool.
Which, by the way, that soundtrack is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it couldn't be more perfect.
Yeah.
It's a perfect storm of everything.
Of everything.
Like,
all the
man.
tone.
Yeah.
Just, oh, man, that's perfect. So, I met all those guys, and then I went back to LA, and I was working in the Miramax office as the movie was up and running. And the movie had a variety of challenges throughout prep and production from all over the place. We had a lot of the people that started working on the movie did not finish working on the movie for a variety of reasons. There were also like wildfires while we were up there. We had to shut down for
Literally.
air quality.
Yeah.
Where was that? Oregon?
Yeah, it was
Oregon?
Portland and
Portland,
Mount
okay.
Hood.
Mount Hood.
And one day in Portland. Was it one day in Portland?
It was.
A
Wait.
little bit. I confused
Maybe.
Portland and Salt Lake City.
My
We
God.
do a lot
You're
of
right,
movies
dude,
on the road.
Right? I honestly, I have the same problem with those
Yeah.
two places.
Yeah. But I had to eventually go. We sent Lauren up, and she took over as production coordinator and started, managing the minute details and whatever. And it still was, the studio still had a lot of concerns, and there was a variety of friction happening. So they sent me up again to check things out, and they had me take over as line producer. So neither of us started physically working on the show, and both of us closed it out. But they, production on Miramax's side, as well as the creative on the filmmaker side, credit us with saving the show. And I think that that's just because it was diplomacy, like Lauren was trying to do earlier. And like we had to make deals with everybody because there was not, the studio was not going to suddenly spend a bunch more money on this movie.
Right.
But the vision was the vision, and sometimes the costs of those things are guesses, and sometimes they change. And so we really just had to always have communication go in both directions. And we were able to bring the movie in on budget. We ended up through different concerns, dropping a couple days from the schedule with the wildfires and whatever else. So with that in mind, brought it in on budget, but we're able to deliver on JT's vision. There's at least one scene that he really wants back that never got to get shot. But the movie, the movie still works without it.
Yeah.
It's okay. And that's the biggest thing, is being able to deliver a piece of material that people are responding to so much that we actually, we do surprise so many people. If you haven't heard the spoilers or seen the movie, don't look it up. This thing can be ruined in one sentence.
Yeah, no
Don't
trailers.
risk it.
No trailers.
Just watch it.
Nothing.
That first viewing is an emotional experience.
Yeah.
And the second and third are also great because you can have a different perspective.
Yeah.
But it took a lot to get there, to deliver that. It's a lot of hard work and just constantly making deals and sacrifices and apologies all the time.
And compromises too, right?
Yeah.
Compromises. You really you just kind of figure out, okay, like for example, with the equipment even, okay, we don't have the amount of money that we can for this piece. What we have discovered though is that, okay, so like we can't afford this guy, but there are these other things that we can do that we can afford with this other kind of equipment. So it's really a lot of collaborative back and forth. It's you just figure out like what works, and you take care of it. I think as producers, we're also very good at being there for crew and being there for studios as well. We're really good at just kind of being the in between, and making sure that both sides are happy. It's not like each side are always against each other. That's not it. But it's just being in tune with everybody so that you can have the best product that you possibly can at the end.
I would say that this darker man right here, the Mezcal.
Mezcal 33.
Mezcal 33 is the
Reposado.
brand. The Reposado.
Yeah.
For me, that does not smell nice. I'm not digging the nose on this one. I dig it though. I think it's a nice little upgrade on the flavor, but
Should I even dare?
what is going on? Put your nose in that.
I mean, on this one, I get like a little
There's
bit of
a smoke,
a
right?
bourbony vibe on it, like a hint of a caramel.
Yeah.
Definitely the agave.
To me, it's like a caramel kerosene. It's a caramel.
Well, I do like the aroma of mezcals,
Yeah.
but I can't.
Oh, it's smooth though.
Yeah, it's a good one, banger. But I can't, because when mezcals, you get a lot of those like earthy qualities, and that stuff I can't decipher. I'm just like, oh, it smells good. smoky, not
right.
smoky, maybe a teeny tiny bit of vanilla or like a hint of caramel. But outside of that, it just, what does it taste like? You know, I mean, this one did smell like raspberries to me, but the palate, did not reflect that.
Yeah, right? For sure. For sure.
And that is a smoky type, right?
That's a little bit. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not. Do
right?
you actually want to try the?
Nope.
Okay.
I am good. Thank you so much.
Keeping her distance.
Yep.
Keeping her distance.
No,
from it.
thank you.
So on that note of, you know, continuing on Strange Darling and the, you know, the aspect of dealing with the crew and production and tools and all that. So as stated in the very first frame of this movie, 35 millimeter film.
That's right.
And
Kodak.
here's- Yeah.
Such an awesome
5219.
experience. That alone right there was amazing. So cool.
Like I've heard mixed things about this. So obviously you guys have both worked on, I'm sure, a lot of digital productions, which is pretty standard now.
Yeah.
Have you done other film productions besides this one? You must have done at least a few, right?
No, I've been.
Okay.
You know, I've budgeted for some. Not really.
Negative.
No, I mean, not hands on. Not actually filmmaking. Like
So
this.
in the end, you know, dealing with the budget side of it, does it really, you know, on a movie of that level end up being kind of the same amount? Because I've heard that before. I've seen someone actually do a breakdown
Yeah.
of like how film, like in digital, at a certain point, it
Yeah.
kind of like balances out, you know, it ultimately
Yeah.
costs the same. Did you guys experience that, or was there a lot of budget that went specifically to, you know, shooting 35 and
I mean,
all that?
I think that the answer is both. There certainly are a number of budget lines that go to the film.
Yeah.
The film stock is pricey. Developing is its own cost. Scanning, all of these costs are in theory not in the budget for digital, but you don't have to spend $15,000 on hard drives for a show. You don't have to ship those hard drives all over the country. Instead, you ship the footage, or
Yeah.
you digitize locally or whatever. So what I can say is that, you know, certainly on the long-term basis, I've seen that film is cheaper for archival. You put the film in a cool, normal room, and it just sits there no matter what. When you go to digital, you're constantly replacing and duplicating and upgrading and, you know, guarding against shit going out of style, whatever it's called.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
formats, right? You're
Yeah.
always changing formats, and then you're uploading and you're using that kind of. So on the long term, I think that it's very clear that film is the better choice fiscally. When it comes down to actually making the movie, because we're not concerned with archival. That's somebody else's problem, right? Until we're making our own, and then it's ours. But a lot of what I would say is that, and again, I'm not super experienced with this stuff yet, but it does seem to come close to evening out.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be more careful with it sometimes. Certainly, I think, you know, even more importantly than the specific number of dollars that go into this kind of media storage versus this kind or this kind of image capture, I think more importantly are, you know, the additional effects, knowing that we're shooting on film, knowing that's a finite resource that is going to start being used when I press this button, it keeps everybody focused and attentive, and it, you know, shuts people up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it even forces the director and actor into more rehearsals to be sure that they actually show up and are a pro and are ready to do it. You know, nobody shows up not knowing their lines when you're shooting film.
Yeah.
You know, not to say that nobody does. I'm sure people do, but it's, you know, there's more respect, I think, for filmmaking when you're on film.
Yeah.
And I think that personally, the depth, the quality of the image, watch Strange Darling, look at those colors, look at that stuff. The way that, you know, you have to manually keep that focus and all of that stuff adds value.
Yeah.
It adds value to this movie. It adds value to The Godfather. It adds value to everything that is shot on film. And there's a lot of people out there that want to deny that and say that that's not true. Oh, you could just shoot it digital and apply this effect to degrade the footage to make it look like film. And it's not the same.
After this
It's just
experience,
not.
after this experience, which yes, this was my very first film ever on film. I don't ever want to shoot anything not on film again. The colors, everything in this film are absolutely amazing. They're some of the most gorgeous images I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I never want to see that like I would never want to not see that in a movie again. Like I just want to like shoot film for the rest of my life. It's just the coolest. I mean,
it's safer to shoot on digital. You have less of a chance of fucking everything up.
Yeah.
So for sure, when you're learning, when you don't have the resources, absolutely go and use that thing in your pocket. It's a great tool. Go
do
go
1,000
use that.
takes. It's fun. Go ahead.
But
just let it run for 30 minutes.
Literally,
and do the rehearsal while it's recording.
But no, at the end of the day, when you're up and running, when you're making real movies with professionals, I think that there's no comparison. Side by side, film is the winner.
There's definitely there's a discipline to it, as you said. And I guess to give people context that might be listening and are unfamiliar with this, for example, like right now we're shooting on a Sony FX30 cameras, 128 gigabyte card on there. This one's shooting in 4K. 4K, that's going to give us about 2 hours of footage, right? And again, after we can just format the card, reuse it as many times as we want. Just maybe a month ago, I bought a 400-foot roll of Kodak 7219, so 16 millimeter daylight balance. 400-foot roll, 11 minutes of recording time, and there's no erasing it and doing it again. So,
like
11 minutes between hitting the button.
So, just a little bit of context. So, that 11 minutes, and I think it was $220 because I didn't do sure. I got like a brand new roll. So, $220, 11 minutes versus I don't know how much these SD cards cost, like $100 maybe.
$100 and you can reuse them 100 times.
Just keep doing it. So for anyone who doesn't know, just context, not to mention, the camera and all that stuff. And just the, the kind of workflow behind it too. Like the first time I shot on 16, I did it because a friend of mine was a film student at Cal State Northridge. And it's so funny. These students could not care less. They're like, my little Canon DSLR is cleaner images than this. And I'm like, oh my God, guys. But so I helped them out. Like I didn't go to the film school or anything. I knew this guy and I helped them out because I was like, doing film for free, even though I wasn't shooting, but I was the one who learned how to load it, how to unload it. You got the changing bag, you have to do it in the dark. I'm over here watching YouTube tutorials, and that's a whole, it's like the scariest thing when you have to load that shit up. And then when it's done and you want to, I don't know if when I open the magazine that it's going to, like in the, just like
Mel Brooks movie.
Like all that stuff.
There goes your entire day.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a hell of an experience. And I remember, and none of them knew how to do it. And I just learned, and I was like, well, I learned for free because the school paid for that shit. So I'm good. I'm just here hanging out. But it's really fun and is definitely a disciplinary practice. And it's so funny that I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about it, and it's become such a big deal now. But I mean, film has been around way longer than digital has been. Movie theaters, movie theaters didn't even transition to all digital projection until 2012. I mean, that's 12 years ago. That's not that long ago.
No.
Whereas the first film was, I don't know, in late 1800s, early 90s, whatever it is, And the point of archival is really great as well. Did you guys ever see that documentary? This is probably 15 years ago now. It was called Side by Side. And Keanu Reeves is the dude who narrates it, but he talks to a bunch of cinematographers and directors, and it's about I guess you could call it the film versus digital debate. So he's talking to different people about digital versus film and how they both work, halide crystals in film in emulsion versus photo sites in a digital sensor and the different, all that nerd shit, all that kind of stuff. But they talked to, David Fincher and Scorsese and all these people that have very differing views. You got people like Fincher that are like, nope, fuck film. Fuck all that, all digital. I want to see what I'm getting. I can do resolution, 8K, all that stuff. I mean, there's more to it than that. And then you got the purists like Spielberg or Nolan or whoever. But highly recommend that. It's a really great documentary about
Side by Side.
Cool.
Yeah, Side by Side. I forgot where I was going with that. But wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful
and I
film.
think that, with Strange Darling, we had a really great asset in Giovanni Ribisi. Giovanni...
Absolutely.
Giovanni was the DP on the film. It's his first feature as DP, but he's been cinematographer for a long time, doing music videos, and he owns a lot of his own gear, his cameras and stuff that we use on the movie. So he was a friend of JT Molnar's. They had been friends for a while, and JT shared the script with him. And JT likes to joke and say, I send him scripts all the time to act in, and I don't hear back, but I send him this one, and, if it wants, and he suddenly wants to shoot it. But Giovanni was, he allowed a production to shoot on his cameras. He has a full grip and electric package that we shipped up from LA to Portland to use on this. He has a facility with great film scanners, like world-class scanners, a bunch of just amazing gear, and he's such a film pro. I mean, he's been in this game longer than I've been aware of it. And it just a great resource all the way across the board. He and JT developed a really detailed shot list, and they knew what they were looking to accomplish and they were looking to do, and they knew how their days were going to line out. And just, having all of that on that movie, there's no question that it was more efficient to shoot film with that process as opposed to doing a digital normal movie, 100 takes on digital, whatever.
Yeah. Well, so was it, since he had his own gear and everything, you guys shipped it, was that like the homie hookup of like, hey, I want to shoot this feature, and I'm going to hook it up. But the price of me hooking it up is I'm shooting the shit. Was it like that? A nicer version of that?
But yeah, it's something like that. Giovanni's an artist, and he saw the art in this movie, and he wanted to help any way that he could. And he happened to also be a professional when it comes to the image, and he's a geek for the image. He's great with story. He's a geek for the image. And he wanted to provide his, he's got a lot of value to give, and he gave it all. Yeah. So, it was a huge benefit to the movie. JT only shoots on film. Gio also, they both consider themselves full celluloid converts, where it's all they want to do, like my buddy Lauren Hood. And look, I'm from Rochester, New York. I'm from Kodak Town. We went to the Eastman House in elementary school, dog. So I'm there with you. Yeah. Let's do it. And there isn't even a Kodak logo on this thing.
We're all converts now.
Right. We're there.
Thanks, Gio and JT.
Thanks, yes.
Yeah, no, if I could do everything on film, I definitely would.
There was a really nice short that you did a while back on film. I think it was called Cease.
Yeah,
and I really liked the film aspect, but something about that location. It was just such a gorgeous location that you shot in. And I just can't get over it. And I these brick walls.
Yep.
Oh my God! And this hardwood floor. That's just. It's really nice.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful.
Nice little skyline where the sun sets right outside the window, but it was overcast that day. But it was overcast that day, but it still looks good. Some blue daylight versus some tungsten.
I like that location so much that I rented it and I still live there.
No, dude, it's all about that texture, And it's funny how much of the work that does that. I mean, you guys obviously know, like the production design too. Like I love in this movie when he's going through the house of the older couple, and just the
one.
I just love that it's just like in your face. Like this room is the fucking red room. This one is white. This one is yellow. It's like. Yeah. We got this almost this European vibe. Like I was thinking of Cries and Whispers, that Bergman film, if you've ever seen that, where everything's red and shit. There's like one shot where they're like walking through the grass and it's like green with the yellow. Man, like now that I think about it, there's a little connection there, but I love that.
It's the rare, almost exclusively daytime thriller. There's a couple scenes at night that are also great, but it's almost all daytime. And what JT and Gio always said throughout the process is the like mission statement of the film was blood on the flower bed. Everything is bright and gorgeous and covered in blood. And it just, that our production designer, Priscilla Elliott, was a huge asset throughout in keeping the filmmakers dedicated to the color palette and, being, what's the word? What's the English word for, that's how you make yourself sound smart when you're doing something stupid.
Yes.
Well, it's very
dedicated. I don't know.
It's very intentional. And that's one thing I love. Very intentional with the like the red and green, right? It's like when we're out in the woods, she's in the red, nurse. He's in the red flannel. She got the red on the green.
Everything's primary colors unless it's nature.
Yeah.
Right? Nature's allowed to be green.
Yeah.
Everything else primary colors.
That reminds me, I brought those red the red scrubs that I borrowed
You
from my
brought
wonderful
them?
I sure did.
Can we do a quick change? Can we do like a clap and Lauren's going to be
Absolutely not.
here wearing the red scrubs? Can we? Oh, we're going to do a quick change? We're going to do a quick, when my hands clap, Lauren's going to change into just wearing the ladies' red scrubs.
So I went as the lady.
I'll clap later.
Yes, no. I went as the lady. Thank you, Lindsay. For Halloween.
Lindsay and I did,
that's
Lindsay
right.
and I did
You
it
and-
a year ago when literally no one had heard of this movie yet. It wasn't like it hadn't screened yet.
Yeah.
And Lindsay wore the red scrubs. I had a jacket like Kyle's, like that the one that we had to send
Oh
out
my
to Kyle
God.
Gallner. He still got the jacket. He loves it. It took a long time to get to him. Sorry, buddy.
Talk about the dog. Just talk
But
about
right,
the dog.
I also put my dog in the Kyle Gallner jacket.
I saw that
And
photo. That
right,
was
he's
great.
got like
Yeah.
baking powder all over his nose, like he's just doing all the whatever kind of drogas.
It's the best
But
shit.
yeah,
Anyway, so
Lauren showed up to
Yeah.
a karaoke party with just her ears
Yep.
spackled shut and in the Lady Reds.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I saw a lot of
So-
people actually posting this year going as the Lady and the Demon on Halloween.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot is a relative term. But
I mean,
yeah.
still.
But it's
If
pretty
you're on the
damn
right
cool.
hashtag, it's a lot.
That's a hell of like a couple costume.
Yeah, right.
And then it's almost I wouldn't say it's a deep cut, but it's a cut, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like if you know, you know, and if you know,
Yeah.
you're fucking cool.
Yeah, right? Look, I mean, this movie's only made $4 million. $4 million is a relatively very low haul for a feature film in a wide release that people have heard of. Based on the number of screens that we were on and the length of time the movie was open, it's a pretty good performance. And it's now that it's available on all of the digitals, it's on Amazon Prime, it's on Apple. I know you can buy it. I think you can rent it maybe this week or next week. Go to your local WWW and
Get that Blu-ray. Get the Blu-ray.
a lot more people are finally
Get
going
the
to be
Blu-ray.
introduced to this movie now that we're putting it in their homes.
Yeah.
So
What was the budget on it? Like 2 million ish, or was it way up?
no, I mean like I don't know what the official number is anywhere. But people talk about certain things. It's this many. It's about this many.
Okay.
No, I don't know. Like it's something like
Being in mainly production, you only see like a certain portion of it. To be blatantly honest, you don't necessarily get to see like the final.
yeah, like
budgeted
they haven't
anyway.
published an official number on
Yeah.
it, but it's it's in the low range or
Yeah.
ultra low.
I guess too, because then is marketing budget. This is something I'm kind of learning a little bit about. I guess
Yeah.
that's a whole separate entity that people will spend like millions of dollars on.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
this is Miramax is kind of a mini major studio, I believe they're considered. So they have their own marketing department inside, and they market each project that they work on, film, TV, archival, I don't know. And they're dedicated staff that make annual salaries. I don't know how many are there currently. There's been a changeover this year in staffing, but there's at least somebody, a couple people, 3 people working. And then there's the distribution company who does the primary ad spend most times on the movie. So for Strange Darling, you see magenta light over in the bottom left corner. That's the distribution company. This is the first feature they distributed. I think they did a really good job with the marketing and stuff in early on, introducing this to people. I think that if they would have put more into the ad budget and would have kept the movie in theaters a few weeks longer, I think it really would have paid off. It was really, the trajectory was really trending as high as it could get for a movie of this size with whatever. It was really trending high, but with Beetlejuice, I think coming out a couple weeks after, they tapered off and whatever. I think it could have made more money there, but they have their own ad spend. They do print and advertising. I don't know. I imagine $1 million or more,
Yeah.
So there's a lot, and distribution, $1 million. The studio, in-house, plus anything else on the thing. Now it goes to, streaming and anywhere else. There's a lot of different places that ad money goes in, and it's really like an amorphous blob to try and put a number on it.
Yeah, it's well, I guess I was thinking in those terms because recently I did my Halloween episode was on Terrifier 3.
Nice.
I don't know if you're into those movies, probably not, but
No, but I'm super interested. I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I'm super interested.
Yeah.
Anything that can be made so little and
Have
made
you-
so much.
yeah, have you seen the first 2 movies?
Yeah.
at
So
all?
I
Yeah.
Oh,
heard
you
the
have.
first
Okay.
one is worth like, don't ever see it. Second one, watch it.
Yeah.
and then watch the third one.
Okay.
But that's
you
literally- I
both haven't seen the third one
Not
yet?
the third one.
Oh,
I haven't seen most of what came out this year so far. I'm behind. man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Most people so far, I think the general consensus is like the second one is like the best one, but I love part 3. I think part
Yeah?
3 is my
Really?
favorite. It's so
Okay.
good. But yeah, because I think it was like a $2 million or $4 million budget, and it surpassed Joker 2. And I think the Wild Robot and all this stuff, and there's a lot
Really?
about it. Like,
I mean, I'm kind
and
of not surprised, but-
I think the first or second unrated movie to do that without like big and also unrated, which is fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think I heard because I was listening to someone else talk about it. The Mezcal's kicking in. Sorry, I'm slurring those words now, but they brought up also the marketing budget and how it was like sub $1 million, like just a 6-figure.
Yeah.
So that was another aspect, but it showed how much, I guess, to me, what I mentioned in my podcast episode was like the horror community and like the word of mouth and all that. But
Yeah. I mean, a buddy of mine texted me a screenshot of Terrifier 3 and saying like it makes $50 million on a $4 million budget or whatever the specifics are. Our buddy Jordan Santacana, who we all know, and he said, "Hey man, we're gonna do this with my movie," and he's got a bunch of movies and a bunch of scripts, and we're going to get some made very soon. But he says, "Hey, we can do that with this thing," and I forget which one it was, and let's just for the sake of it, let's call it the microphone movie. He said, "We're gonna do this with the microphone movie," and I said, "Maybe with the microphone movie 3." The first one doing that is so different than the third one.
yeah, it
know?
took a while. That shit didn't happen in
Yeah.
one go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's steady increments.
Yeah, and so it's interesting, right? You mentioned at the top of this that we're going to go all the way down to hell and talk about the state of the film industry. And I think it's interesting because, I saw an article today with one of the owners of the major studios. I think it was maybe Zaslav, the guy who runs Warner Brothers, WBD, I believe currently. He's stoked about the Trump administration and the lack of restriction on the deals. They're stoked about all the mergers and acquisitions because that's what Hollywood should be doing, is just buying and selling each other as opposed to making movies. They're stoked about that whole angle of it. And somebody in the article said the only companies that are going to survive this are going to be the biggest of the big. And in a few years, you're just going to have this mass consolidation. There'll only be a couple of companies left. And I think that's so fucking wrong. Mm-hmm. I don't just mean like wrong, like immoral. I think it's incorrect. I think that the smaller companies are going to succeed. I think that the fucking asylum. I've never worked at the asylum. I hear from my good friend Lauren, they're lovely people. But I think that they'll still be around because they're going to be able to just fire out the stuff and create a bunch of content and whatever. And I think that the low budget horrors, Terrifier, and even Strange Darling at just a few $1 million, I think that those are still going to be able to find success. And I think that all of these movies that are fucking crazy top heavy, they cost hundreds of millions of dollars, those are going to be the ones that you can't make anymore.
I think it's definitely I don't know the ins and outs of all this, but just in my opinion, and I feel like I keep track and I watch a lot of stuff, I agree with that 100%. It feels like we're finally getting to a point where everyone's kind of realizing that too, like whether they know it or not, just the movie fans. It's like, you know what, we don't want the pandering and this and then the remakes and blah blah blah. It's like, give us this,
give us Batman every 3.5 years.
Yeah, I mean,
a new character. I don't mean a new Batman movie. I mean a new character playing Batman every 3 years. That's the problem.
I do like Matt Reeves' Batman though, but I mean, even I know you don't. I know we had that conversation.
No,
it's great. I stand by that.
It's their own, man. Tim Burton for the win.
Yeah, no, I think that, and that's one thing that's cool about, I think, a movie like this. And I said it, when Carissa and I saw this movie opening night, and we went to the Vista, which,
great.
God bless the Vista. So we're seeing, 35 millimeter print. Every time, the demon Kyle shows up, it's bomb. And like, I don't know if you guys go watch movies at the Vista, but your seat's shaking and shit.
It's so much better than the Grove. I was in the last row at the Grove, and I was like, "Where's the remote? I got to go up like at least 15 clicks right now."
Oh no, man, the Vista, your shit's fucking shaking, and
it's so
and
good.
Every time he comes on
this movie in a theater with the volume up like that.
Oh hell yes,
so cool.
Yeah. Man, I mean, spoiler alert, but someone gets shot in the head, and
Oh, yes.
People screamed.
Absolutely,
It was
man.
It's so
great.
true.
It's so
right?
funny.
Yeah.
It sounded in one of the last shows that I watched of this when it was in theaters here in LA. It sounded like the woman 10 rows up and 15 seats over had been shot herself.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was saying like we saw it at the Vista and we ended up doing a podcast that night. Like Carissa and I was like, yo, let's go back to your pad and we're just going to record on the phones and like the first,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we did it like that night.
Old school, baby.
Yeah.
The original podcast.
And I forgot what I was saying, but I had mentioned, I was like, it feels like it may, oh no, it wasn't in that. We recently did our favorite horror movie performances and we put Willa Fitzgerald,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
Up in there, like possibly the best performance of the year.
She's
just
so
the
very good.
ending 5
Right.
minutes alone.
Yes.
Good fucking
God.
Lord.
Yeah, man.
But-
and I don't want to do too many spoilers,
No.
but I think about 95% of people that I've talked to about the last scene of the movie say, what an amazing piece of acting. What a great piece of filmmaking. How it's so well done. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And about 5% say, man, why was that last shot so long?
No, dude, that last shot's the best.
It's amazing.
It's touched
absolutely-
by God filmmaking that last
yeah,
shot.
right.
I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh, we're doing it. We're in.
And there's
It's
a couple
happening.
moments, like, depending on what the audience is like, and that's the thing. See this movie with a group of people, even if it's in your house, because given the different audience you can be in, the movie can go so different ways.
Right.
Because there's a couple of moments where, like, you think like something could happen, and if the people you're with are on edge, if they're nervous, you're gonna be like, ha ha ha. But if you've laughed at the things that you're able to laugh at in this movie, the last 5, 6, 8 minutes. There's a lot of laughs in it. There's a lot of things where you're like, because by that point, like so much shit has happened. You're like, whatever, like just give it to
Throw
me.
it at me.
Well, it's weaved in the movie so well, and in that podcast we brought up the breakfast making scene,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And I had mentioned,
Which has its own stories to go with it, by the way.
okay, but I had mentioned, I said I was like, this is one of those moments that shows like the craft of directing, I think, at its finest, and like teetering that fucking line of where in any other movie or whatever, like this shouldn't work, right? It should not work at all. It should be like, what the fuck is happening? Why are we like laughing at this right now? But somehow it works perfectly well, and it is important for the characters because it endears you to those two characters immediately without a fucking word being said.
Yeah.
Just that,
Yeah.
the overhead, the top breakfast
Yeah.
shot, all the sticks of butter, and they sit down and just not even, the coffee or whatever. And it just like, oh, you fall in love immediately. And that's all you needed.
Yeah.
For the rest of it to have the impact that it
Yeah.
does.
That day of filming was day one of the shoot.
Really?
First thing that they shot, and they sent dailies back to the studio of this thriller feature, this killer thriller feature. They send back 2 pounds of butter and a bunch of bacon, and the execs are like, "The fuck are we doing?"
No, I'm glad to
Excuse
hear
me.
this. Wow.
And, like,
Excuse me, guys.
This is an excerpt from J.T. Molnar's larger TED Talk. Start with the fucking car chase. JT will say, like, the next time he goes into a movie, he's going to start with the car chase, man. Just going to go. And then that first day of stuff, they say, cool, that's the movie we're making. Just so I remember, just so I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we all know. You send back Ed Begley Jr. cooking every saturated fat known to man at once.
Everyone's going to question your life.
Say, remind me of the genre. Just one time. So, like, in context, it works so well.
Yeah.
It is some people's absolute favorite scene. For me, it's the hotel sign. It's the one like night.
The blue?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite bit of the movie. But the for a lot of people, it's the breakfast. Out of context, it could almost get your movie shut down. In context, works great.
Right.
You know what I
Works great.
really love about it is also the last scene of the movie.
Yeah.
But really, it's my production mind because I know exactly where everyone is standing
In the last shot.
In that last shot.
Yeah, no.
And I just cannot help but just It takes.
That's
I
awesome.
can't say that
That's
it takes
fucking
me
awesome.
out, but it does take
it does.
me completely out of the movie every time.
And it's
That's
fine.
too bad.
But I just like, I just
But
have
that's
the
the nature of
biggest
the beast.
grin on my
Yeah.
face because I'm like, there you go.
Yeah. So we
You don't even see where the heck we're all
We're both on
standing.
set that day,
Yeah.
and we had production people lodged in the trees
For like
Just
2
everywhere
miles,
because
right?
that shot goes so long.
For like 2
we had to
miles
lock
on
up.
walkies.
Okay, it's not like a rear projection.
No.
It is the
No,
car
it is an
driving.
actual
Yeah.
road
Our,
with
uh,
us in the
the
background.
stunt coordinator is actually driving like this to not get his man hands in the image.
Yeah.
And I was in the van behind, and Lauren was heading our like PA lockups on like every driveway. Like, keep these people in their house. We're gonna be filming 10-minute takes.
Which we
and
had
so,
to
like,
use the walkies as like
Yeah.
one person had to. We had to daisy chain the walkies because
Yeah.
it was so long
Right, the front
of a
couldn't
lockup.
hear the end.
Exactly. So like each of us had to kill, like lock up, and we'd have to just know. Anyway, it
And
was
so,
just
like,
such a long.
but that shot for sure. Anyone who worked that day, Russ Tart LaFleur, everybody else who was on set with us, there's no way you can watch that and not be like, okay, base camp, base camp, there's base camp, okay, transpo, there's transpo, okay, and like
yeah.
filmmaking wise, they did a great job. You can't see any of it.
Yeah.
If you were there in Mount Hood, you're like,
can't just-
oh, that's my shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the paintball facility that we used as a base camp.
No, that's amazing.
So
Yeah.
awesome though. But honestly, just like filming at like in Mount Hood, some of those locations that they had were incredible.
They were great. They
I
were
mean
great.
that the forest, the park that we were
Yeah.
filming at. My God, you literally walk through this place. It's like a damn fairyland. You feel like you're not
Unbelievable.
It's,
So,
it's like a
yeah.
fantasy.
I'm from upstate New York and grew up in a lot of wilderness and weather for like of the most distinct seasons every year that you could have. Unlike right now in LA, it's fall. You can tell for once. I've been here for 20 years. But I had never seen trees like this up in
right?
Portland in that
No.
area. The tallest trees I've ever seen in my life. The forest so thick. It's so gorgeous. And they shot the shit out of them in those few scenes.
Yeah.
They really dived
Yeah.
into it. They really did. And there was the sequence JT wants back is the river. There was a whole river sequence in the chase that at the end of the day, you don't need.
Yeah. And it was never shot.
It was
or
never
was
shot.
Okay.
It was never shot.
tried,
Even when
and
we
we-
tried to
we
pare it
did
down,
try the,
at
like-
one point they tried to pitch a creek. What if they said, there's no river. They said, what about a creek?
Yeah.
And another thing that
we
maybe
spent-
almost got the movie reshut down like that. You got to chill.
We did spend some time looking for different
so much time. We spent
locations,
so
right?
much
Like, we
time
did
scouting
try,
for the
yeah.
river, and we never shot it. It's like
Yeah,
in
that's true.
State and Maine. State and
yeah.
Maine was the biggest joke on set because in State and Maine with William H Macy and it's a great movie. They're shooting a movie called The Old Mill, and like to start the movie, the guy comes in and he goes, "Okay, got a little change, we're gonna cut the mill." And they're like, "What? You're gonna do what? You're gonna cut the mill?" And then it cuts to like the screenplay being titled The Old Mill. And that was this. Like, we spent so much time scouting the river.
Yeah.
We looked at every different river in the goddamn state of Oregon. And there's a lot.
Really
And, like, we spent entire days going out scouting rivers. And these ones will have the ocean winds. And these ones will have the runoff from the agriculture.
And they're like, you don't get a river.
We never
and you're like,
fucking shot a
fine,
damn thing.
fine, we don't get
Our
a
location
river.
scene was so great, Roger Ferris. We went out and we
Oh,
was
God,
just
Roger.
scouting all the time. And James Grayford, our first AD, just out there.
Oh
like,
my God.
Look, I'm coming.
James
A
Grayford, I
couple
love
of
you.
times it's like, look, man, we're trending over budget. We're gonna go out and look at stuff. Nobody's officially invited because we can't pay anybody for doing anything. Like, we're gonna look at
Everyone
it.
else sleep.
Roger and Grayford are like, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Like, didn't matter. Didn't
Yeah.
matter. Just
Yeah.
team players, you know.
What I mean, I guess for this movie, like what part of it was going over budget, like in getting to the point of like, all right, we got to trim stuff down. If you're not able to say it's all good, but because I mean, one thing that struck me with this one is clearly, but like this is the perfect example of just a good movie, like a badass story told in a really, excellent way, well written, well directed, acted, all the everything that makes like a good film, right? But I guess I don't know if efficient's the word, but the fact that it's minimal characters, minimal locations, just right in the pocket, and not a second is wasted. So I'm curious for this, like even on the budget it was, like what aspects of it made it go over.
I would give my answer to that is not going to be a specific thing. My answer to that is going to be that when you're working on a budget that is so limiting already, there isn't room for anything to change.
Right.
It's not even always about things going wrong and whatever else. It's about things changing. It's about losing an entire location that you had prepped and scouted and having to find a new one. And that one, now everything's locked in. It has to be what the price is. It's about needing X number of people on set to get things done, whether or not every single one of those things were budgeted for. So with this movie, I would say that most of where it went over were places that were too optimistically budgeted. You know,
the fire sure didn't help on that
sure
day
didn't.
either.
No, we had to shut down in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
You know, we're
there
tracking.
Were just a few logistical issues that we just could not help happen, and like that just weighs on everybody.
Yeah, and like that's an insurance claim thing, and like, do we get that money back? Is always a question because that's out of your hands. And you know, I mean,
and then you start to stress about the money because you don't know if the insurance company is actually going to end up paying it or not.
Right. And like any of these movies, it's almost sad, but it's just very true. One of the top deciding factors on where you shoot a movie is what is the local film tax incentive? How much money am I getting back for shooting there? Because the decision makers have to, so they do think at a fiscal level. This costs this, you're going to get this. And then from a few options, you get to say, okay, this would look better in Oregon. So we always try to hire locals. Yeah. Because it's part of the incentive, and like that's why these film incentives exist. That's why local governments give money, is so that you buy things from their state and you hire people in their state and you rent hotels and cars and gear in their state. So we always try to do that. Yeah. And I think at the time in Oregon it was kind of busy. They don't have a crew that can substantiate 5 shows going on at once, and there might have only been 3, but we had, I think, at the beginning, a lot of people that were kind of stepping up to new positions. And when you're stepping up, you're not always going to execute 100%. So when you have a lot of people stepping up, you have a lot less efficiency. And so then, you know, replacing people is expensive because there's overlap. Because if Ted is terrible and we got to get rid of Ted by Friday, we got to start Darla on Monday to take over for Ted. So now you're paying 2 people for that week every time you're replacing somebody.
Does that happen a lot too? And I know you go and shoot a lot of different states.
It happens. And you know, there's overlap and there's learning curve and there's travel. A lot of times if you're replacing someone, you got to bring them in from out of town if you're not in LA or New York. So those kind of tack on costs, they add up. There's just a lot of stuff. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's only a few $1 million. It's not even a $15 million low budget movie. Certainly a $100 million movie. When I see $65 million movies that are going into production, I see behind the doors on those. The amount of slack that's given to me as a person who's used to making, call it $20 million and under movie, on $65 million movies, man, the slack goes around the world.
Yeah,
it's all day. Yeah, because there's an idea
solve
of
the
like
problems.
the
money goes.
You know,
normal people. Others think that like, you know, $2-3 million is like, oh my God, that's like all the money in the world.
That's a lot of money. You put it on this table. I'm gonna be like, wow.
No, for me, yeah.
Sure,
I'm gonna make a dozen movies.
For a movie nowadays, it's really not a lot. It's not a lot,
no, it's really
and
hard.
a lot of us need to kind of like. In my opinion, I feel like a lot of us need to catch up with, how do I say, inflation, and so many things have increased in price. And when we talk about movies, it's almost like our brains, absolutely including mine, are still stuck in the era of like, yeah, we can make a movie for $500,000 because we used to be able to do that 10 years ago. We used to be able to do that.
If you take the average person's salary and say, for the next 5 years of your salary, I'm going to make a movie. Like, holy shit, it sounds like you could make a movie about traveling to the moon.
Literally, but now that it's devastating. It is heartbreaking to look at it and you're like, but you can't, to make a movie on something, what we have discovered recently is just to make a movie below $1 million. Absolutely, it's possible. But you've got to really know how to make a script that will fit in that hole to be able to do it. Again, that's like my opinion.
No, it's true.
I really feel if you can make a good movie in that amount of money, and like I said, even $1 million, yes, it sounds like a lot, but it is so not a lot anymore when it comes to making films. I mean, I'm not even going to say it. Like, it's crazy how we've had to lower our production days. Just like I said, Asylum, we went from 15 days, whatever,
I think
10 years ago to
or
6 days right now.
Crazy.
And that's simply because rates are going up, and rightfully so. I mean, people's rates should absolutely, match to
what they have to spend.
Exactly.
I mean,
my God, right? Yeah.
Stay
but
alive,
it's just anyway. So with things getting more expensive, our minds, in a sense, haven't caught up yet to okay, like,
because it, like, before I actually built a budget from the ground up, I didn't even understand what it was that I was working on. When a movie is $12 million, I said, fucking how? What do you mean?
Yeah.
But when you take and you build it account by account and crew member by crew member and, lunch by lunch.
Yeah.
That's the number. And the people think that it's made up. People think, okay, you need $15 million. And you're like,
just
we're
like
shooting
like,
on
food
a
alone.
cruise ship.
Literally. Food alone. Yeah.
Right.
You have to literally prove to some people, would you like to see the rates out of the physical book I got
and then you look
from?
and then
it's
they all
not
just
like I'm
math
pulling
up.
it out of my butt.
I mean, that's what we do. We build a 100-page document of math. That
100%.
is
things
it's just so much addition.
Yeah, yes, it is.
There's a lot of multiplication because you multiply by weeks, but there's so much addition
and lots of fringes.
The most boring math, at least that's percentages.
That's
which
true.
is a type of multiplication.
Why do I love this? Why is it that we love this so much?
I've always loved math. I don't know, man.
You did well in math. Okay, I was the student that would stay late after
Mezcal
school
33.
because I was such a dum-dum when it came to
mezcal you ever did see. Sorry,
thank you for that. I want to ask real quick, like the 6-day features at Asylum. So what does that look like? Are we talking like 16-hour days, 18-hour days? Or is it still like, we're going to be like 12, maybe 14, but we're just banging it out? Like, what does that look like over there?
It looks like 17 and a half page days. Multiply that by 6. I don't even know. Something around there. You divide a 90 to a 95 page, right? Let's just say 17 to 18 page day for 6 days.
So that means script pages. You are shooting 17 script pages
narrative
per time
feature.
You're on set.
Narrative, yes.
Most movies that we do will do like a 5-page day.
I'll just throw it out there.
And we do 12-hour days, to answer your question.
Yeah.
We do not go into overtime.
Oh, really?
And of course, yes, are there days when we're like, y'all, we absolutely, if we
gotta
don't
do
do
grace.
overtime, we're gonna lose 10 pages. There are times when that happens.
What's the longest day that you've shot?
23 pages.
I mean, hours.
How many hours?
That's too many pages.
23 pages. So I mean, if that wouldn't be a day on an Asylum show, because I mean I've also done,
I mean outside
Transpo,
of
which I've worked
that.
I
mean like shooting day. I don't mean driving a truck back to.
Shit. I mean, when I was a PA, I worked 21 hours, 21-hour days for 5 days in a row. We were getting 4 hours of sleep in
for
Riverside.
5 days in a row.
Cute.
Does that include a lot? That's on Transpo.
That was what? PA. That was when I was back as a PA. $50 a day, guys. What?
No, my longest was
you worked as a PA in 1985. 50
or like
on an
13
Indian reservation.
Years ago.
Like the hell?
I mean, Riverside. So, I mean, sort of.
We don't treat PAs right.
At least you're where you're at now, and you're in these credits. Because 10, no, even less than that. 2015, 2014. I mean, my longest gig when I was on set more is like PA and like low AC, like AC, grip, electrician, all of it, but not even knowing what's happening. Asylum adjacent projects. My longest day was 20 hours. Well, it was 16 hours or 19. No. 16, 20, and then 9 to like break everything down like in a row. I mean, you said what 21 and 5, but and then I did a PA gig like the food crew, crafty PA gig out in Soledad Canyon. This is 2014.
Okay,
I got $100.
Yep,
that was 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. However long that is
for one Benjamin Franklin.
14 hours.
Yeah,
Chris Benji.
I didn't even get that. No, I got it like $150.
Yeah.
And man,
Flat,
I know,
right?
yeah. $150, and I fucking totaled my car because I fell asleep on the way home. Not even on the way home, but on the way to
Holy
my
shit.
high school like teaching job to go to the class at 8 a.m. I was like, all right, it's like 6 a.m. I'm rolling out of
You fell
here.
asleep?
Classes at 8 a.m. on the 210 Santa Clarita to Monrovia
Yeah.
High School. Here we go. I fell asleep on the road.
That's
man. Totaled my
insanity.
car, and
That-
luckily
that-
I was fine.
That
But
happened on a show I worked on too.
That honestly, that same show that I was driving back from Riverside, because God forbid that production actually paid for an extra night for us to sleep
Right.
everything off.
Yeah.
No, we had to leave the hotel at 11 a.m. that morning, and I think we probably wrapped. I mean, the sun was already up, so let's just call it
Yeah.
a 6 a.m.
Oh,
at that
wow.
time. And we slept. I think I slept for 4 hours, and I was also falling asleep in the middle of rush hour traffic coming into LA. And it was like, literally, it was, I thought I was going to have to get off onto the side of
Yeah.
the road and just be like, well, cops, if you pull me over,
so-
I'm just not going to lie.
like it was
It's
a wild
crazy.
It was
Shit we do.
a wild time. I know now
Did.
I'm getting like
Did.
I know now
No
I'm getting
more.
really personal, but like it was crazy, and I always remember that because I could have easily died, or worse yet,
God,
killed someone
yeah.
else. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
which would have been awful. Luckily, it ended up being okay. But yeah, like $150, and this is again This was October, I think 13th, or something like. Nah, it was like October 2013.
I thought you were going to
14.
give us the exact date and time. It was
No,
October 13th.
almost. I just
2014.
realized.
It was
I just
8:36
realized.
a.m.
I just realized I
listened to
forgot.
Google Dolls.
No, but it was October in the teens in 2014, right?
Okay.
And fucking, because you know I'm doing it. Like I'm
Yeah.
working. I'm gonna make this $150.
Yeah,
you know, and like
right.
I'm gonna.
Back then, you're like,
I'm gonna
made it.
yeah, and I'm on set. I'm gonna work even though I'm over here like pouring coffee for these, you know, electricians that aren't very kind. And
I was
To,
going to use a different word, but okay.
Oh, you were going to say cinematographer?
but no,
Yes.
crazy shit like that fucking night. Like, so my grandfather was sick, right? And he was on his way out. And I remember before I did that game, my parents were telling me, they're like, hey, we're going to go, like, he doesn't have that much time. We're going to go visit. And I'm like, no, I have to do this. I have to do this gig. I want to be in the movies. You know,
Yeah.
I got to do this. I got to make my $150, you know? And crazy enough, like when I got in the accident, I called my parents, right? You know, it's like 6:15 a.m. at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. And I guess it's just like me, but my immediate thought wasn't like, oh, I survived. It was like, fuck, my mom's gonna be so mad.
Right.
I fucking totaled my car.
Yeah. No, that's
like-
it's usually that.
They're gonna be so
or
angry.
people's reaction is usually either that or it's like, oh man, all the gear in the back for tomorrow's shoot is at risk, or like,
Right.
Fuck
oh
my
man,
life.
Cables.
I'm gonna be late to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like-
Everyone's going to be so mad at me. I'm never going to be hired again.
How's your physical body, son?
But yeah, I call it. I notice. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like we hung out. It's all right. You know, your dad's gonna come and get you. And I'm thinking, I'm like, that's weird. She was like awake,
Yeah.
like completely awake. It's pretty early. And then my grandfather passed away. Right, like soon before that happened, around the same time as the accident.
Oh my
which is
God.
crazy. So I'm not like super spiritual, but there was a degree of like, oh shit,
Yeah.
man,
Yes.
I was being
Yeah.
looked after because
Yeah.
my car was destroyed, airbags,
Wow.
the trunk, the hood, like it like
Yeah.
crushed. But I came out like perfectly unscathed. Again,
Yeah.
luckily didn't hit anyone
Right.
else.
Yeah,
but
I
it was crazy. If I was a spiritual person, you know, I'd say like, oh shit, I was definitely being looked after.
Yeah.
But I have a little bit of resentment of like film shit because I mean,
No, we treat people like that, right? I mean, the industry
Yeah.
treats,
I'm here.
treats people like that.
Yeah.
That people are expendable. When you're just looking at it from a financial point of view only, it can be really cold.
Yeah.
And the industry, you know, we've seen too many people be fucking sacrificed to this industry for nothing. There's a variety of names of people that we've certainly all heard that have, you know, needlessly lost their lives to this
Yeah.
shit. I mean, I was working on a movie in Massachusetts, and I think it was our locations a PA or assistant location manager or something driving the unit van home. It was after dawn. After we had wrapped, everybody else on the crew is already asleep. This guy's cleaning up the location. He's taking signs down off trees. He's putting cones in the car or whatever. And like he's on a 20-hour day, driving home, falls asleep. And his story, like he woke up as the van, this cargo van, is like in the air. He careened off a bridge, not like a bridge,
right?
God.
But a wee little bridge, which is still a fucking bridge.
Yeah.
And he ended up like upside down in the unit van at 5-6 a.m. because whatever we had to get 17 pages that day.
And they're like, "How dare you, guy?
Yeah, how dare
you're
you,
done.
exactly.
You're
Yeah, way to
toast."
drive like a dick.
Yeah.
You know how much gas you spilled? That cost us $5.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Do you guys listen to the Roger Deakins podcast at all?
No, I don't know that name.
Something tells me he does.
No, the truth is I don't get the chance to listen to a lot of podcasts.
All right.
I don't.
No. In their first season, talking about it, because they talked to a lot of like producer, first ADs, like a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I didn't realize. I mean, I guess I knew it happened to me, and you're talking about these long days too. Like obviously it's there, but it seems like a bigger deal than I even thought. Like very common. Like they're talking to these first ADs. It's like, yep, I've done it. Yeah. Like we've all, like every crew person at some point or another.
Oh, yeah, been nodding off.
More
My
than
God.
once. Yeah, you're falling asleep on the road, and it's pretty.
Man,
crazy.
this wasn't actually a production job, but it's my closest related to it. I was on a stand-up tour, a little mini indie tour. We went from LA to Phoenix to through West Texas. That took 14 days. It felt like it. To Austin, to Houston, to New Orleans, and then back. So we drove all the way out and had a crew of people in the car, and we're stopping, and we're having a good time, and we're having fun every night, and we're like, this was podcast days for me 10 years ago, doing shows all the way out, get to New Orleans, have the big show, see everybody there. Our one friend we were driving with had to get back right away. He had booked a flight in advance. So as soon as we land, the next day he flies out. The other two people that I drove with were like, that sounds good. I'll have what he's having. And they fucking flew out, and I drove the rental car to goddamn New Orleans from LA. That's a couple thousand miles.
Dude, yeah,
and these D-bags left me to drive the thing back my entire damn self.
Yeah.
There was a new Prodigy album out at the time, so I listened to that 14 fucking times in a row.
No one thought
and
about
somewhere in West Texas, I was like, this day is not going any farther. And I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing but dirt and like dirt shacks. So I pulled over next to one dirt shack, and I took myself a little nap. Next thing I know,
No way.
sir, roll down the window. Oh, officer, what are you doing? I'm sleeping. Can't be here, man. Got to hit the road. I was like, I just didn't think I could drive safely anymore. I was like, can't be here, man. Got to hit the road.
We don't give a shit.
Sounds good. I guess
gotta love
I'll
that.
endanger your local community then. Thank you for your service.
Have a nice
And I
night.
drove my happy ass out of Texas. And like, this is how we treat people, because there's something that you think is the thing, and so many people don't think about the human cost.
human.
So
Yeah.
that a lot falls on. That a lot falls on us. What is this?
You know what?
Tequila?
I understood it.
That does a lot us fall on.
It did.
The safety is very much the UPM's job, and it's the AD's job. But like we
Yes.
talked about before, we're at the top of that particular group of individuals, so the ultimate responsibility is with us. We are responsible for everyone's safety on set. We are responsible for how long of days people are working, where they're driving to and from and staying, and what they're moving and when. We have to.
Oh, you keep tabs on
consider
all of that. Wow.
We have
Yes,
to.
absolutely.
We have to
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the safety it really is in our hands, because when, like we've all expressed, for this thing, we all have a drive to do it. We all like feel the need to do this thing.
Yeah.
So when fucking Cthulhu calls, you're gonna drive down the 5 freeway. It doesn't matter how long your day's been. You're gonna go do it because it's got to be done.
Yeah.
And we have to have our safety eyeballs on and say, this thing, whatever it is, this thing can wait, or this guy's got to go early, or this thing happens tomorrow, or this, you call a Teamster, or you know, there are ways to do it without endangering people's lives. And
Absolutely. We've done it.
There's
seen
benchmarks. There's
Yes.
stop gaps, right? There's supposed to be enough safety in place where nothing falls through the cracks.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's us that need to make sure that last level. It's like
Honestly, I think the one thing that has always bothered the absolute fuck out of me is that I don't want to say producers, but people with money. They lose.
Wait, are you equating those two things? I have to call my accountant.
I just people lose sight of the human life, the humanity of it, right?
Yeah.
And they just start to equate everything as money.
Yeah.
And that is such bullshit.
Yeah.
Because you can't spend your money or make a product without the human. So why on God's great earth, or whoever that might be,
Whoever currently owns the lease to Earth.
indeed, that thing, that being. How is it that we think that the money is more important than the humans who are creating this for you? And why would you not treat them with kindness? Because they're doing something they love to do, but they're also sharing their love and creativity with your project.
And like in this
They're
industry
throwing-
specifically, we give our entire lives to it. Like if I'm on a
Literally,
job,
right?
my whole fucking life force is on the job.
Literally.
Somebody had asked me recently to kind of do this in the background. I'm like, dude, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. man.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of us drive home after 20 hours a day, because we feel there is a sense of, oh my God, I had a really fulfilling day, even though I'm totally falling asleep right now.
Locations department also frowns on you sleeping on set, I've found out.
But now the
The
unions,
hard way.
the unions on the basic agreement, they've just, my gosh, of course, I've been out of the negotiating table for a little while.
Lauren,
at this point, but
Lauren's in every union you've ever heard of, and 3 others. She is on like negotiating committees for IATSE. She goes to every DGA mixer that is that's ever been on a book. Like the unions on this girl.
yes, and I love them. I really do. I think because again, the humans. It comes down to the people. It comes down to the human life that we create these amazing
Cheers to that.
things with. But what was I saying? Yeah. So there are rules now that the basic agreement has that if, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, maybe you know. What I'm trying to say is now if it's past a certain point of hours, we actually are required to ask or put up crew
for hotel.
for hotel
To
if they're
offer.
too tired
Yeah.
and offer, right? Which I think is a very good step in the right direction. Of course, those of us, there are still some of us that I don't want to, it's not pride or ego, but it's like when you're in the moment, you're like, no, I got to get home.
Well,
I got to
for
take
sure.
care of my dog, my cat,
like,
my whatever.
When we get down to those policies too, it also depends on how you deliver it. Like I've had plenty of UPMs or
oh
whatever.
my God, you're right?
That, like if you say it, if you
Yeah.
offer that, like if you
Are
say,
you going to
hey,
need a
man,
hotel tonight or
you
what?
say, hey Rudy, you know what? You're on like 20 hours today and you're really pushing it. We can get you a hotel around the corner. It's no big deal.
Please, will you stay?
You're going to respond differently to that. Say, hey Rudy, so we got you driving home. It's only going to be like 32 minutes. There's not even that much traffic right now. Technically, according to the union, I have to ask you if you want a hotel.
I'm in
So
a
like,
bar.
let me know if you do. But otherwise, we'll see you at 6 a.m. Don't be 5 minutes late. Don't be 5 minutes early, you can. Like, you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
you really have to want to take care of people to take care of
You
people.
have to want to take care of the people. And I think the industry as a whole, we have to change it because we can't do this without the rest of us. We can't. We're all in it together, and that's one of the reasons why I couldn't find a place in the music industry, and that I did find a place here in the film industry, is that it's a community in which we as a team make something together. And the music industry doesn't necessarily have that as much as we do in this industry.
So you're saying
Like,
there's more P. Diddy's than there are Harvey Weinsteins? Is that what you're trying to get at?
yes.
Gross.
What? But you know what I mean? It just I have a hope and like I really have a true hope that we can spread the love for everybody, for all producers to know, to appreciate the people who are working with you, for you, whatever.
I think that
You
we're
know?
going to see lines drawn pretty soon of people that are doubling and tripling down on the use of AI. You know, and I'm not of the opinion that you can't use it like it's a tool like anything else, right? and it'll take time for society to acclimate to it. But the entities, the people out there that are jumping on it real fast, real hard, what they're doing is they're replacing people, and they're making this thing that is purely a human art form less and less and less human. It's always been made by humans for humans. And like you should always use the new tools when they're beneficial to you. But at the end of the day, you know, it takes humans to give this art its soul. And the more humans you replace, the less human it is.
Yeah.
And oh my God, even on the tiny movies, y'all, like, even on the tiny movies, if you don't have a lot of money, guess what? You want to know how you treat your crew right? Treat them nicely.
Feed them.
Feed them.
Feed them.
Give them that little bit of overtime without any fucking arguments with it. If you go into overtime for an extra 10 minutes or whatever the hell it is, just fucking give it, because
but honestly, feed them.
If you have to. But yes, also,
that is
like,
important.
also,
Food that
you
is
guys,
good.
like, we are here for 12 fucking hours. Like, that's intense. Above most jobs.
But
okay?
give it up to Michael Zampino for his willingness to feed people no matter what. On Sick, we did a movie called Sick in Utah in 20-something, around 21 or something. And we traveled the catering crew from LA.
That's true.
We had them like drive their trucks, staff up, drive out there, live in a hotel, and cook every day. Because like there was, on the local front, it was just going to be like average garbage food. We were shooting all nights.
Man.
We're shooting a month of nights. So he's like, no, I'm going to bring the guy that makes the best bacon. The guy
Oh my God, right?
everything.
Yeah, literally, thank you for the breakfast, right?
Oh
like,
my God.
So many projects
We
don't
still
have
wear
breakfast.
those shirts. What are the shirts? Who's in the kitchen?
Oh shit. Alex in the kitchen.
Alex in the kitchen.
Alex in the
catering.
kitchen.
Like, I mean, that is how you take care of people.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, make sure they are safe. And
I mean, it's
feed
the
them,
least,
feed them
right? Yeah. And even
Pay
with
them,
those,
pay them the hours and days that they work. Feed them good food.
Yeah.
And make sure they
and treat
stay safe.
everybody with kindness. I don't sound like such. It's true though.
No, that's the thing. Do you guys find in your experience in movies? I mean, have you been? I'm sure you have in a lot of situation with some really hot-headed people. Because I've definitely experienced that.
Yes.
Like, it's been a long time since I've been on set, but
And
there's been a
ego.
lot of that. Yeah, ego, and even I teach this drum corps stuff in the summer, and in that world, for that group of people, it's very important. And the egos, and there's a lot of anger sometimes can rise up, and this and that. And you got to remember, it's like in the drum corps thing, it's like, we're here to teach fucking like high school, college kids how to do marching band and like be better people in the process. Like that's what we're doing. And they're paying a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
We're doing it as a passion project. We're not getting paid a lot. Like let's just be fucking cool, but, I mean, do you experience that more often than not? The ego and just ragers and all that?
I'd have to think about it. I mean, I think
Without mentioning any
Yeah.
specific names.
of course not. But
And we can leave it at that.
I think
No,
there's
look,
something
there's-
about people in this industry.
Yeah.
Please.
Not all of us, but the ego thing really is a problem here.
Yeah.
Here, as in
Well, we cater
LA,
to it. Too. The industry
and we
caters
fake
to
it
it.
till we make it shit. Like, what is that? That thing is really irritating too, because you fake it.
There's a lot of politics to play
destroy
in.
the job. Like
Yeah.
you don't even do. You lie and say you can do the job, but then you fuck everything up by doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's so little value in that kind of ego. I try to consciously fucking do away with it as far as
Yeah.
myself, because like we all
Same.
fall into it. We all have those
Right.
moments, right? But a lot of people are emboldened in this industry. They're able to claim things on a writer where you have to have certain things on set every day. And some of that, like to a certain extent, I'm all about it. Like if that makes you focus, it puts you in the zone to have your organic watermelon at 8 a.m., then like dope, man. I hope you get it. And if you're just going to be a dick when it shows up at 10 a.m., like this is no good anymore, is it? Like chill the fuck out. Like no, there's a lot of ego. There's a lot of people that are motivated by shitty things. But I think that good people recognize good people.
Yeah.
And the number one thing that we can do, it's like the average person, voting is its own thing, but the real way that you vote is with your wallet. Where you send your money really matters. And for us, who we rehire really matters. If you look at there are people that I've rehired a dozen times over the course of shooting a dozen things. And the more good people we find, the more we keep around. And what's good about being at, near, I guess, as LPUPMs, near the top of the food chain, as it were, is we get to have says on a lot of those decisions. So when the bad juju folks come up, we can say, well, what about Bob?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the biggest thing that we can do is carry the good people forward and keep the cream rising. And at the end of the day, 10 years from now, I hope to still be making movies and only working with the absolute best of the best. Not identifying the people that don't value human life and this other stuff, and who are obsessed with themselves, and move on from that and bring back all the good people. And eventually, over time, we're able to collect a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
It's so wild that, I guess it makes sense because human nature is pretty crazy, but just the fact that the culture has always been, as far as I know, maybe I'm talking out of my ass, but like what you just mentioned, like the writers and everything, and like, I want this and this and that, and if I don't get it, I can't do my shit and I'm going to be an asshole about it. That is literally just the culture and like what it is, and it's so widely accepted is just crazy to me.
And it is crazy because if you think about it, like, I think a lot of times, I relate it to my normal human experience. And like, I live in an apartment building in Hollywood. You might be familiar with it. It's got brick floors. That'd be fucking weird. What is this, tequila?
That'd be uncomfortable.
Fucking brick floors every day. No, but just like living around people.
Or getting used to it.
Yeah, Lauren's new to city life. She's having a tough time in Hollywood. Everything smells like dog piss. People have dogs.
You step in shit.
I honestly don't know what point I was thinking about
shit.
making. My third tequila is more important. My third mezcal, brought to you by Mezcal 33. The cleanest mezcal you ever did see.
Sorry, Dan, I interrupted your apartment story.
I don't know what it was about. I don't.
Lots of people.
Let's rewind the tape 5 minutes. I was saying something about like, when you I don't know, dude. I honestly don't know. Like, I could guess, but I'm just gonna babble.
Sorry.
Can we, Lauren, get another Brambleberry surprise?
I don't want one. There's lots of sugar in it.
There's so much sugar. It's half grenadine.
It's good that way.
Eat your fruit.
But yeah, no, just the ego trip stuff is crazy to me. Like, I was reading some goofy ass article about like Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
And how you can't look her in the eyes.
Oh
like,
my
if you
God,
look,
I wonder if that's true. I've never met one where that's true.
But stuff like that.
Dude, I can't with that shit.
It's nuts.
Like, you are just aware, and it makes me think of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah.
When they're on the like the Miramax set, and it's like Goodwill Hunting 2 hunting season. Yeah. And Scott Mosier is playing the AD, and he's like, all right, he's bringing the extras in. He's like, whatever you do, don't look Ben or Matt directly in the eyes, or you will be fired.
Oh my God.
I can't with that shit.
Meanwhile, like I was new to LA. I was an extra on that movie Terminal. You ever see Terminal with
I
Tom
never
Hanks?
did. Yeah, I never did.
Where Tom Hanks, true story, the guy that
haven't
like
seen it.
lived in an airplane terminal for like years or whatever. I was an extra on that movie, so it must have been shooting in like 2004 or something. And talk about the opposite experience. Tom, as he told everyone to call him, comes out at lunch and says something like motivational to the crew. It's like day 6 of 40, and he's like repping up the crew. Gets up on the catering table and like tap dances.
Oh my
What
God,
a delightful
I
man!
died.
Such a delightful man.
See,
That's the kind of shit now that makes you feel good about everything.
Yeah, no, that's cool, and that's what you would hope from everybody, especially the like I get the A-list, whatever. It's like, yo, you are the most privileged. You got everything you could ever want. Your job is like, you're not a fucking teacher. Right. You're not a doctor, whatever. It's like, just be cool, man. Just be cool. And it's crazy how much there's like, even, in the bar world with like bar owners and shit and those egos. It's like dude,
like, man, your place doesn't run without these people and those people. These people are paying you. You're paying them to keep everyone happy. Everyone here is making this possible. You are just the privileged guy who's able to sip on Mezcal 33, the cleanest. All right.
Yeah, it's great. Not even, some, we're operating here, but and even in my current job, I deal with a little bit of that, and I've got to check people sometimes, man. Like, hey, this shit doesn't happen without me.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'll walk away. I'll live in my fucking car at this point, man. Like I've been through it already.
Yep.
I'll live in the car. I'll shower at the gym.
Yeah.
Fuck it. But like at this point, man, like,
and it's
like
tough.
you're out of your mind.
When it comes to production, sometimes, I mean, people ask a lot of the production crew, like we've been talking about with the PAs and everything, but of us too. They ask us to do a lot of off the clock work.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure.
There's a certain amount that I 100% expect as a job. Any part of the production office, there's hours that are where you have to do stuff that you're not going to like clock in. And like, there's an amount of that that's okay, but you have to be able to draw lines about it. And I've had situations where those lines are not just blurred, like they're non-existent. It'll be like months. It'll be a full month before I'm supposed to start. And there's hey, there's only 6 Zooms this week. It's just like, I mean, we want to, it's interesting, right? Because we get involved with, like we said, every single member of the crew. As the UPM, we talk to every single member of the crew.
Yep.
And as production supervisor and coordinator, same deal. Talk to every single person on the crew. What is this, Mezcal?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's a good one.
I keep wanting to run the tape. I don't know what I'm talking about.
One of the things that I have learned from starting off being a line producer at like basically out the freaking gate of my career here in LA was I was told once upon a time at the beginning that I, in a sense, had to put up a front, that I had to look. I swear to God, this is ridiculous that I'm even saying this, but it's true. That I need to put up a front, that I kind of have to look intimidating because I'm the producer. I'm the boss. I need to be respected and this and that. And like I kind of played that role, if you will, and it never felt good because I crew couldn't come to me. I would always hear people telling me later on, "Well, Lauren, you're fucking scary. Like you're scary, or that you're bitchy, or like blah blah blah, whatever." And then through the many years that I've been doing this, I have shed my skin. And like I realized that, what, I can be myself. I can be that bubbly, crazy, blondie producer that I am, and still be kind and loving and caring and yes, still being the boss and having to manage the money and all that stuff. But like I want to be approachable. I'm a part of the team too, and I was able to realize that I didn't have to be that jerk. I didn't have to have this massive ego to be a part of this whole system. I could be me.
Yeah.
And, we change every day. I'm still not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. None of us ever are. But I think...
Have you seen Rudy's beard?
I mean, that's pretty fucking perfect.
So...
Okay.
You got goals at least.
Okay.
I think the point that I was trying to make before is kind of like almost the opposite, but it's on the same fucking wavelength.
Okay.
Is the fact that sometimes, I mean, you also need to set boundaries.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
People ask you to
That's
do
so
a
true
bunch
as
of
well.
shit, and like it's important to help when you can. And if you want to be a producer, a capital P producer, you have to make the whole fucking thing happen. So you're going to put in a bunch of unpaid work to eventually reap the rewards. But at any point in this process, I recommend like getting involved and putting in effort and value when you 100% can, and when you need to be compensated because you have bills to pay, just making those needs known and saying like, I can't do this for free right this second. Yeah. You have to set fucking boundaries.
And isn't that kind of a part of self-care?
Sure.
If we think about it,
No,
right? If we think about it, right? Which is something that I'm going to say, right? That we lose the concept of our own self-care because we love what we do so much. And this is like,
I mean,
so many
20-hour days
right?
are not, that is not practicing self-care.
Right. No, it sure is not. But we have to learn that it is okay to ask for X amount of money for our work, for what we do. Because we're not just trying to rape somebody of all their freaking cash. It's that we we respect ourselves enough to know that we have a value as well.
So many, you have to hustle to make it in this industry.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to.
Yes.
And so do it.
There is a point,
But
though.
yes, absolutely. Where there's so much power in turning down a job.
Right.
There's so much power in knowing when the stars align. You know, if you're out there hustling and you're making in LA, whatever it is, $17.28 an hour, because that's legally the least amount of pennies they can pay you, like, keep grinding it out. But when a job comes up from, say, an employer you worked for before who doesn't treat you well, who asks you for extra hours, who feeds you like shit, and they want you to give things for free, and you can already pay rent this month, say fucking no.
Yeah.
for sure.
There's so much power
Yeah.
in saying, I can't do that right now. That rate is just too low for me. I look forward to working for you in the future.
Yeah.
And
It's okay to say no.
setting your value above the legal limit
Yeah, for real.
is really
Yeah.
important. It's really
And
when you can start to really find out what you're worth and set your whole life and schedule up a lot better.
Yeah,
Like when you agree to take nothing every day forever, that's where you're gonna stay.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you're a producer or if you're a PA.
100%.
Yeah.
Like,
100%. There are PAs that are absolutely worth being paid their overscale quotes. Do it all the time.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
people that will be your key PA are usually at a higher rate than the everybody else at minimum wage. If you have like a cast PA or someone who really knows how to deal with the talent, like there was a guy that we always worked with. We would travel a PA to deal with the talent. He was so good. You got to set those numbers. I worked with some really great PAs, and unfortunately for all of the sketchier line producers around town, I tell them all this. I tell them, like, as soon as you know that this job is not quite worth it for you, fucking stop. Set
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are smart and powerful, and you can do more. So go do it. Like,
Yep.
it's important from the business side, and this is the duality that we deal with all the time. It's important from the business side to get the most value out of our employees, but on the human side, on the UPM side of things, where all of the humans live, it's really important to take care of those people and make sure that those people know how to take care of themselves.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
like, at the end of the day, you know, I'm not the absolute best studio hire ever, because I don't lean 99% towards the studio. I lean towards the people.
Right.
You know, I'm all about efficiency, but that's about getting the budget made in advance at a level that we can hit. And sorry, but that means there's got to be a little slack. There has to be a little slack
And really,
in order to make it. There was no
it's just a
slack in
little
this
slack.
movie. There was no slack.
it's just a little slack that they need to just make sure that people's lives are safe.
Yeah. And I've heard a couple of people saying that this movie might even be better with a lower budget.
Please no. Please absolutely no.
Lower than what it already was?
Yeah, the
Absolutely not.
the idea being that, like, Jaws wouldn't be as good if the shark worked. You know?
Yeah.
That's okay. A couple
and for
PAs
me,
got killed in the process, but
yeah, not in this movie, but no, it's for
God,
this
no.
movie, like, because the locations aren't that limited in this movie. When we talk about making a script that's ready to be crazy low budget, this is not it, because it's got a number of locations that you have to pay substantial fees for a number of days.
It was all
There's-
on location. No, was there any sets? Like, is that like the hotel room a set?
There's
or-
one set. Can you guess
Okay.
what it was?
Is it the house?
No.
should we not give
that
that away,
wallpaper,
though?
though.
We shouldn't give it away.
Why?
I don't
It's already
know.
out there. It's okay because it's already out there.
Because I think it's so cool that it's
The
like
truck.
viable. I
the
love
hotel
that.
sign in the truck.
Oh, I believe that.
We
Yeah,
moved
like,
that
it's
sign.
an easy
That
buy,
sign
right?
was made by production, and we moved it inside to a stage so that we could shoot in and out and around that truck and whatever. So we shot in front of the actual thing sitting there at the hotel, and we moved that entire structure to interior studio to shoot the interior truck stuff.
They may
Wait,
or
so-
may not have done that for a requirement of the incentive.
That's right.
FYI.
Yeah. The local incentive said that, like, we had to shoot
had
a
a
studio
feeling.
day, so we said, okay, we'll do
Yeah.
this. It was way better than shooting that on location. We were able to really move around, and, like, we weren't
Oh my
affected
God,
by
yeah, right.
Wait,
outside
sorry.
shit.
Moving the sign, literally
Uh-huh.
relocating the actual sign.
Yeah.
But it's lit by more than just the sign, right? Or is it literally like the neon sign? Okay.
That's the sign.
Yeah.
Isn't it
I'm trying to
gorgeous?
think. I mean, I'm sure there's an auxiliary light or
Yeah.
two.
A little
but no,
augmentation.
it is
Yeah.
lit by the neon hotel, the neon blue hotel sign.
Yeah, man, it's like Chris Doyle shit.
Yeah. Everything else on location, every single other thing.
Now, I was gonna say earlier, like on that money aspect of this. I mean, for me, and it's funny. It's like we can't imagine a world of this, right? It's like there was something I heard Quentin Tarantino was talking about this. It's like you can in this day and age, like imagine he was talking about Alien.
Yeah.
Like you can't imagine Alien without like the H.R. Giger design of the xenomorph, right? Like you just can't.
Right.
But to think about a point, like there was a period in time where that shit didn't exist yet.
Right.
You know, and here's the options they were looking at. But so with this, it's like I can't imagine, you're talking about like the budget and this and that. I can't imagine it being that much better. Like I don't know, and maybe you can share some insight if you want. Obviously, you don't have to, but if this was $100 million,
Okay, well, chill.
is the movie?
Can we
okay,
find a number in between 4 and 100, please?
Well, let's say 20 million. Is that too much?
Yeah, that's still too much to be really. I mean,
No.
like,
Well, even if it had a several million dollars
okay,
more,
yeah, sure,
a few million
sure.
more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, is it? And I guess we'll never know, right? But is it that much better in the end?
So that's the point of contention,
I
and
guess we
that's
get the
where
reverse. I don't
Giovanni,
really know.
and that's
I don't
where
think so. I'm gonna say I don't think so.
Laura Gaines, another person who said the same thing. That's what they would say. Like, for sure, no, it'd be worse. If you give it more money, it'd be worse. And if it were $100 million, it would suck, dude. It'd be like that. What was that movie called? There was this movie we watched in Utah. And it cost $100 million, Rudy. It was
the
so
worst
bad.
thing.
It was horrendous. And it was
yeah.
100, or I don't know. Like, that one might have been $400 million. It's one of those cases where, like, reality doesn't
fucking
matter anymore.
throwaway. Either way, they made maybe $2 million on
if
it.
you put a absolute bazillion ton in, it sucks. But, like, if the movie cost 4, I would love to see the 6.5 version. That's what I mean, because then we would have the full river sequence.
Was exactly
then we would
what I was
have
gonna say.
every shooting day that was budgeted for.
Yeah.
Then we might have even been able to do additional and cool car stuff, although we really did that to the max. I mean, we really that Ukraine stuff looks
killed
so
it.
good.
Yeah, man.
But there,
I think
you know, we had a fair number. We had a good amount of days to shoot
We
this
did,
movie,
and
really, because we had a
honestly,
small unit.
with what Gio and what JT did prior and like did all that prep themselves and
Yeah,
knew exactly what
their
they were
shot
going
list.
to get
Yeah.
on screen and the way they just had it all planned out already. The
Yeah.
look was already made.
And like,
so,
it's not like we.
so it's not something that was created in the edit like sometimes happens
right.
a lot on the very
Right.
low budget
Yeah.
movies,
Yeah.
right?
All of
It's
this is
very
how it
intentional.
Yeah, for sure. And like, there's
Exactly, yeah.
nowhere that we don't need to add 50 or 100 extras to any scene ever.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
right where it needs to be. It feels full enough, but there's actually a very small number of casts in it. Get those. I'd buy back those couple shooting days we
Yep.
lost. I'd buy back the river.
That would be the
And-
end of the list for me. Would be
I don't
just
know.
that.
I mean, yeah, and a wee bit more. I think that if you were to cut money out of this version, find the fat in that movie for me, Rudy. Find the scenes.
Oh, yeah,
or
no,
that you
no,
would
I
cut,
can't.
the
Yeah,
locations.
no,
or
every
people,
every
there's no
moment,
way.
every moment matters, and it moves it
Yeah.
along. Like, yeah, it's
That's as small as that movie should be.
It's right in the pocket, just
Yeah.
the perfect.
But it is small
runtime
enough to
goes
where
by.
like it's profitable now.
how many
right?
production
Like,
days was that? 23 or 26?
No, I think I want to say we were like 28 scheduled, and I think that we shot 26, but I'm not positive.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. I mean, normally on movies, even when we're 15 million, we don't shoot more than 25 days.
Yeah.
It's generally 23,
Yep.
20 days, something like that.
Think about that though.
40 or
like
the big movies.
Let's put that into perspective though. 23 to 25 days for $1 million.
Yeah, if you want to.
That is such a tiny amount of days, production days, in comparison to what the money feels like, right?
Yeah.
Like that baffles me. It just
Yeah, we
absolutely
spend-
baffles me.
Well, there's so much goes in prep. I mean, just to do the
That's
math.
true.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're looking at something like
And rent.
$500,000 a day, $600,000 a day.
right.
And it doesn't really break down like that because we spend so much in prep and in post
Yeah.
and in
Yeah.
marketing and in cast and director over scale and stuff. So like, it really is amazing how the budget just stacks up on itself, man.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
and it really
It's just
takes making
you-
your own to understand it. So anybody who's out there like getting started, again, shoot digital to start because
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can
yeah.
shoot all day. and start to actually make budgets and talk to people about what it would take to get them to work full time on your show for 4.5 weeks plus 4.5 more before that.
Yeah.
And start to add those numbers up. You're going to get yourself a big Excel document. Eventually, someday you might graduate to movie magic budgeting, and you'll see where this stuff comes from.
And if you want all your deliverables nice and packaged up pretty like for you, you're going to want to throw some money into your wrap budget too.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Pay for rap days, folks.
Literally.
A lot of producers out there are like, look, we're
I
done
can
shooting
do
on the
it
14th.
myself.
I guess you can all work through the 15th if you want. Lauren's
I'll
like,
be
I'm
getting-
going to need to be there the 16th. They're like, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'll just call King Midas. Like, you get what you pay for all the time. But,
yeah.
you know, I mean, there's the movie is made in prep. And your deliverables are made, like the show is handed off so that you can know you can deal with it later in fucking post. So pay for both. You have to. Otherwise, the producers have really heavy lifting. That's where a lot of independent producers fail, is they figure they can put more of it on their own shoulders than is physically possible. And you end up with more than you can do, and you end up underperforming on those things.
Right.
And then parts of your movie underperform, and you end up with a big piece of shit. You have no idea why.
Have a good production team. Good production team.
Call us at 1. We don't have a phone number you can call like that. What is this, an ad? What is this, an ad for Mezcal 33? The cleanest Mezcal you ever did see.
IMDb.com. You can find our...
Plugging IMDb? They get enough fucking web traffic.
Look, that's where the majority of my resume is. I don't know about you.
Call TMDT dot, what? The acronym? What is this? Mezcal?
Well, we'll start wrapping it up.
I've had all three of these now. What's your take between the three boozes?
I like these two more than this one.
Let me try this
is
one once
definitely
more.
This one again. Yeah, that's what I'm.
Cool.
having
Yeah, give
again
him
right now.
another shot. before
I'm
we leave.
riding home.
No, the aroma is still
That's
good.
the
It's
reason
very it's very like peppery and has a lot of spice to it, kind of, which I
That
I
does.
like.
With berries.
The Salvadores.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like on the palate,
Distilled
you don't
with
get
red
the
fruits.
sweetness. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just like spice and sharpness. Still, like it's
Yeah.
been consistent. I was thinking that maybe
It's better out of this.
I was thinking that maybe as time went on, it'd open up a little bit, but it tastes the same as it did in the beginning.
Yeah. Lauren likes it. Lauren likes it.
It's still in my nose.
Drink your grenadine.
There's not left.
Salvadores Mezcal artesanal destillado con frutas
Oh, yeah,
rojas.
he's doing it better than me.
Rojas.
Ensemble.
I can't roll the R's, man.
It's
From
like
Arizona.
Mexico.
It comes from Arizona.
Oaxaca. All right.
Oaxaca. Okay.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I dig the Mezcal 33. How do you say 33 in Spanish?
Oh, I don't know,
Lauren?
man.
I'd have to start from 1 and go all the way up to 33.
All right, well,
33.
she's,
That sounds
she's
right.
doing a lot of work on those R's.
33.
Holy shit.
That sounds right.
What are you, an Arizonan? She's a Phoenician, folks.
Posible?
Salvadores, mezcal artesanal destillados de frutas rojas. It literally said we made this shit with
Frutas rojas.
red fruit. Like,
Yeah.
what do you, like, it looks great in a different language, but
Yeah.
it is,
But does it taste?
I kind of wish the other store pick I have from them is distilled with coffee.
oh, cool.
And that one
that is, I
tastes-
dig when they do that
Yeah,
stuff.
because I'm not a coffee drinker, but I did like it because you get
Yeah.
this
So many
roasty
things I
dark
do
chocolate
not
Yeah.
kind of note.
There was
I almost brought it. I should
Patron
have.
had a coffee thing for
Oh,
a minute,
probably,
right?
yeah.
I think I saw that at
That
the old
sounds right.
Monty Bar. Come on down to
yeah.
Monty Bar, where 7th Street shouldn't exist.
Oh yeah.
What else
No.
can we plug?
Don't make me answer that question. If you mix enough mezcals in a glass, they smell like sushi.
Damn
That
rough.
doesn't sound appetizing at all.
No. Yeah, I don't know if I've ruined the glass or I don't love this stuff. Maybe it's both. But
Yeah,
I like
it's-
Trente
it's,
Trace. That's some dope. I'm into that.
Yeah, 33 is good.
Train to trace.
I think this one I had my expectations pretty high
Because of
I
this
think
little
it was-
label right here. Because
That-
the
that
old
Louis
little
liquor.
diddly diddly.
Yeah.
Louis Liquor. Where's Louis? You like Louis?
Yeah, it's in Azusa, California. They got some good deals. I think it's cool. They do a lot of mezcal. They have some tequila picks,
Dope.
and it's really hip
Good
right
label.
now.
This is like a good label. Like it's
the texture.
This is like Patrick Bateman business card level fucking label. Like you can't see this. I know it's 4K, but holy shit! Like look at that.
Ooh, yeah. No, seriously though.
Yeah, go get yourself
It's like
some.
parchment paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll start wrapping it up. I mean, what's next for you guys in the world of Miramax? Here's the thing, and you can again and anything you don't want to say, it's all good, and I can send this to you before I put it out. So if there's anything you want to edit out or whatever,
We did eat. We've signed a number of NDAs, so we'll take you up on that.
Our entire lives have been signed away at this point.
Miramax Halloween series.
Yeah.
That shit's happening. I think you told me before.
Yeah.
Because there's talk about that.
Right.
And that's going down.
There's a whole TV department over there. I think that they found success with The Gentleman. Did you see the first series of The Gentleman?
I didn't. No.
Did you see the movie?
Based off the Guy Ritchie film? I didn't
Yeah.
see it. No.
Did you see the movie?
No, I didn't. No, I just.
Oh, dude, that's one to catch.
Is it okay? Any of
Yeah.
the. I guess anything Guy Ritchie past Snatch, I haven't really watched.
Oh, homie, you gotta check
Okay.
a couple out. I think there's a couple of fucking flops in there.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of people hate the King Arthur movie. It's weird.
If you liked Snatch at all, I would say watch The Gentleman.
The ad for this movie fucking rocks shit.
Like the trailer?
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, dude, go back
I
and
never
check it out.
watched
It's
it.
actually really
I
good.
should watch
Yeah.
it. Yeah, no, I made it a
When
point to
Stephen
not
King
watch
was
it.
complimenting the movie, he was also complimenting the trailer because it does show you the excitement without giving you the plot.
Yeah.
Now that you know the deal, like you'll see that because you can't not.
Yeah.
But it really is not too much. The trailer is not too much. My favorite ad from Magenta Light on Strange Darling was the one that just flashed text. It said, as the ad's playing, it goes, "Do not watch this ad," over and over
I
again.
gotta
You're like,
see that.
ah!
I gotta see that.
But
That's
it's
great.
totally, it's not too much. Like
Yeah.
the ad is also great.
Yeah.
And they did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think, and I hope it's gonna reach the cult status. You know, I think it should.
Love
Yes.
this thing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I said that
should-
in that same podcast I did with Carissa, I was like, if we were in the days of again like Blockbuster, like this would have been like the VHS tape that people were passing around.
Yeah.
like this is the fucking you have to.
This is
here's the shit you got to watch
Netflix
that
disc that you never return.
I am so
You gotta pass
pissed.
this out.
I had two VHS tapes that I had gotten, and I gave one to someone.
Darling?
Yes, Strange Darling.
The movie's not on those tapes.
I know that.
They gave us mock-ups that look awesome, but there's
Yes.
no movie there.
Yeah, correct. Yes, correct. Okay, but they're just like they're. I'm not a collector. I don't have the collector's mind. I've been around people who are collectors. Here's the thing: I had two of the damn Daniel. I had two of the VHS tapes in my hand. I gave one to a friend who later just put it on the side of the fucking table, and I should have kept them because, and this is my point, it's going to turn into a collector's item, in which case it's going to cost a lot of money at some point, and I should have just kept the damn
Wait, are
thing
you
for
talking
myself.
literally like a VHS
Yeah.
copy?
A
of it?
literal,
So at the-
well, except for the movie isn't actually on
It's not
that.
on there, but at
it's
the
just a-
premiere.
just like okay,
The box.
yeah, like
So
I'll
that's
show
so
it.
cool.
I'll
Yeah.
show it to you.
At the premiere,
That's
at the DGA in Hollywood, we went to the premiere. JT, Giovanni, everybody's there. Old wooden leg. Ed Begley was there. It was great. Met Barbara Hershey because I was not on the movie yet when she shot her only scene. But they were giving away. They just had available these VHS tapes, and they're mock tapes. They're like empty ass tapes,
Yeah.
but with like the dope thing on them. And the chick who designed them wanted to put out a official VHS release, and she got in touch with the distributor, and the distributor said, "Hey, we've only sold DVD and Blu-ray rights. Like maybe you can have these things." So like it was like starting to get real, and she put out this teaser for a box set she wanted to make, and suddenly it was too much. It was an overreach, and the legal department reached out and shut that shit the heck down.
It's too
No, thanks.
It's too bad because there's definitely like and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like a nerd community of that kind of people that are into that. Like I'm very much a physical media person. Like I said, like the Blu-ray's ordered, it's coming. Like take Sora away. We don't want it. I don't want it. I don't know.
No, man, I don't
Wait,
like.
what is Sora?
Sora is the video. It's the AI video generation thing that they've been shopping around Hollywood, and the legend has it that they showed it to Tyler Perry, and Tyler Perry said, "You know what? I think maybe I don't need to invest another $100 million in the studio that I was planning on. I think maybe we'll press pause on that, see how this all works out."
Oh, I hope not.
No, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, never mind. We don't need to pay all them people. Too many people."
I think I'm getting tired and had not enough alcohol to understand anything you just said.
Now this
Try Mezcal 33.
No, this Sora is you can literally. It's like I'll show you the YouTube video after this, but you type in prompts like golden Labrador puppies playing in the snow.
Oh my God, please tell
And
me you're going to overlay it
makes-
right here on the video.
Maybe
Like Labradors in snow, that sounds so cute.
and it looks
Asylum has made that movie
pretty
too.
with
good.
Called Golden Winter.
a green
Really?
bouncy ball.
And you can do that, yeah, and like
And it'll be bouncing.
like all kinds
You
of
guys.
even animated. Like make
Yeah.
me an animated kangaroo with this style.
Kicking
and
a
it
guy
makes it.
in a boxing ring.
So let me get this
Yeah.
straight.
Rudy,
And
you have to add these
and-
videos
and
to
you're
the
saying-
podcast.
I need
Yeah,
Sora. It's
absolutely.
like
Yeah, and you're saying that they actually look so good that Tyler Perry was like, "Fuck the studio, we're not going to have any more jobs in the next 2 years."
They've been shopping it around Hollywood. So in theory, a dozen people have said like, and that's the thing that we didn't really touch on today that we can do really quickly right now is I think that
Rudy's like,
obviously
"I wanna go home."
the entertainment industry has had its own fucking recession for about 18 months now, right?
Has it just been
May,
that?
that'd be May 23. That's the writer strike. So writer strike, actor strike, ever since we've never come back. The
No,
industry
we have
has
not.
not
We have
come
not.
back from that level. Sorry for leaning in and out of the mic here.
No, you're
It's
good.
gonna be a problem later. But the industry has not come back, and from what I can tell, it's all about speculation, and it's not so much about. They'll tell you it's about risk, which it always is, right? You don't want to put too much money into making X number of movies unless you can believably count on a certain amount of money coming back, right? You want to play, it's like gambling. You know that if you play $50 million at the table, you'll get 100 back. But if you only play 20, you're going to only get 10 kind of deal. You need to find that metric.
Right.
And what it really seems is like just pure speculation of if I don't put this money in right now, and I get my 4% interest in 2025, I'm going to be able to make this movie with no people. Or maybe with 6 people instead of 100. Maybe it's 12 people instead of 100. And then the movies become so much fucking cheaper. And what's the bonus in that for all these companies that are speculating on AI? The bonus is that the people who you do need will be so fucking desperate for work next year, after we let them starve for a year and a half, like the studio heads literally said was their intention to do during the strike,
Quote,
is
unquote,
literally starve people, literally force
Until they
people to
lose
go
their houses.
bankrupt and lose their houses. They'll be so desperate for that work that we'll be able to get great deals. And so next year they'll be stoked that 30,000 filmmakers have moved out of LA. They'll be stoked that they can get people at rates that they were paying in 2018. And they'll be stoked that they can hire 20% of the staff to make movies if everybody just gets on board with Sora. And
So
that's
consumers, please,
vote with your wallet,
like,
man. Vote
say
with your
no,
wallet.
because
Like,
we're all humans,
don't-
right?
Right.
And-
Honestly,
and please help support
Yeah.
us as humans and let all of us make wonderful projects for you.
and like nobody,
Say no.
it's clear nobody needs to speak out against AI movies. Nobody's going to see here. It is not doing well, and I
Right.
think that that's probably the primary reason is that you can tell from a mile away
Yeah.
that it's fake, right? And once AI gets involved in storytelling and choosing what story to make, you're going to lose
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I know.
And so I will never go to a theater and pay $1 for a thing that's been written by AI, because that's not writing. That's just guessing at what people liked best from things that were made in the past.
Yeah.
It's the complete and utter lack of originality. I think that people really need to make sure not to be sending their money towards this ghost of the entertainment
Yeah.
industry, towards these things that are just
man.
fucking fake. Let them flop and fail and support your local theater, go see things on film, go watch things that are shot on film by real people, go watch indie movies, go find things that your friends haven't heard of and go and watch that in a theater and have that experience and be able to tell people about it.
Yeah.
That's how what we're doing here, first and fucking foremost, is storytelling.
Yeah.
And when AI is creating the story, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And
right.
they can tell the same story we can. Once it gets good enough, they can tell the same story we can. The thing it can't do is say, this version right here, the one that we would pick, that one of a million is the one that connects to humanity.
Yeah.
That's what humans like JT Molnar can do. And other filmmakers, huge that you've heard their names of, small that you might never, and everywhere in between. We need to support the humans, and that just goes for everything, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's not even
definitely.
just the topic we're talking about. That's just like in general, support people,
Yeah,
and
100%.
be kind, and give help when you can, and it just.
We're all in it together, man.
Be conscious
We
of
truly
where you
are.
spend your money. Like even when
Yeah.
don't buy Post cereals and Kraft mac and cheese and shit when we're getting to it too. Like this looks like some family homemade shit. Like Salvadores Mezcal Artisanal del What is this, tequila? Destillado con frutos rojas. Like go get the real shit. Mezcal Treinta y Tres, my brothers.
Trace
Like,
by trace, guys.
live life.
I like to think that people are becoming hip to that,
Yeah.
and with the AI thing, it's like it because it doesn't have that human experience, right? Like you said, it can come up with the same. Like AI isn't gonna do. Here's a shot. Let's bring it back to Strange Darling. When she's in the cooler and she knows he's coming, she's in the little cooler, and it's just like her head, and the camera zooms in, right, very slowly. Long take, and then she's all right. And got to go under there. AI will never come up with that particular shot. It's only going to be by the book. Like only someone that lived a specific life and experience and
Right.
specific influences and this and that would think to do something like that,
Yeah.
And it might seem like such a simple little moment
Right.
I'm bringing up, but if you've seen the movie, there's something about that, like, I don't know, it just has such like a 70s vibe to me.
Yeah.
But
You
as
should
simple
see how
as
we
that,
shot
I
the
can't do
interior
it.
freezer too. I'll show you. Actually, I have a couple of photos from set. If you want to put them up on screen, feel free.
Oh, yeah.
But like the actually how we shot it was really cool inside.
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing. But I mean, honestly, like that's the deal. Someone had AI create a library that said, show me every single version of English language text and symbols arranged in every single arrangement possible for the first 2,000 characters. And it did that. So there's a library exists that within 2,000 characters says every single thing possible with the English language. So every sentence or description you can come up with, 2,000 characters long, this company has already had assembled into text and saved to a library. They don't know it's there yet. So selecting it would be like a needle in a haystack. Whereas a person, Rudy Ruiz, can write that thing and say, this means something to me, and this comes from where I'm from, and this believes in what I believe in, and this tells the story I want to. And you can just write that thing. And this AI library already has it, but it could never pick it. It could never know to pick it. And by the time we make it smart enough to pick that thing, like, fuck us, what are we wasting our time doing? Have you ever seen Idiocracy? Like, fuck you, let Rudy write the thing and shut up.
Yeah, right. Well, dang. All right. I think we'll wrap it up here.
Thanks, Rudy.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for coming
Rudy,
out.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sitting through the Friday traffic to come out here and
Oh man, of
talk
course.
movies and shit.
As long as Lauren Hood's driving, I will drink Treinta y Tres mezcal with you every day of the week, my dog.
Yeah, man.
All right.
When are you
cool.
having us back? Let's go.
Oh man, hopefully soon. Yeah.
When's that next movie coming out?
No.
It's coming soon to a TV near you. Shark with way too many heads and a prom dress.
Yes, if we're talking about an asylum movie, one that we're making starting tomorrow, will be out next week.
Yeah, Lauren, when are you on
shit.
set compared to right now? How many hours until you're on set on your next asylum
I don't
movie?
have my watch on right now.
Okay,
But I don't
it's
know,
not
12
many.
hours? No, like
it's less
12
than
hours
that.
from now. What time is it? I don't know. 10. Fine. There we go.
Good deal.
In 10 hours, I will be on an asylum set.
I'm working on a really cool short film right now, and like short films are their art. They're the only way that they get made, and a lot of times they're pitch vehicles or they're just some kind of exemplification. This is a really cool thing. Right now, it's called The Man Who Was There. If you're watching this in 2024. Don't even Google it. You'll waste your time. If it's 2025 or later, check it out. It might be cool. We're matching. We're shooting on a volume stage, so we're doing LCD backgrounds. To match archival footage from 1939. The rally at the Garden. If you've seen it, about the Nazi rally at the Madison Square Garden in 1938-39. We're doing. It's a super famous bit of footage. We have rights to the original archival, and we're doing a new narrative story within it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really cool. And this is something that, like, there's no AI involved, but it's like we're shooting 1938-39 and meshing, editing together with original archival from that era. So, like, the technology is such that we can just put people in those, in that wardrobe. We're going to shoot on vintage glass, on vintage lenses.
Nice.
And we're going to shoot on film, but on the volume. So we're going to be projecting, virtual backgrounds to match archival, shooting film. Like, it's such a cool mix.
Yeah, that sounds
real
really cool.
shit. Mm-hmm. We're gonna do that before the end of this year. It should be
Which
out probably
lenses?
next year. What's that?
You know the lenses yet?
I don't. We haven't selected yet. So
I know.
we
That
were
camera
maybe
geek shit.
we were maybe gonna have a grant through Panavision, which may or may not happen, and they have their own lenses. Otherwise, it might be different company. We could go through Keslow Camera. We could reach out to Giovanni Ribisi and see if any of his vintage glass is available. We'll have to see, but it's going to be really cool. And it's going to be
Ingenue glass.
the original archival for this is already Oscar nominated, so like potentially a really cool short film.
Yeah,
which like
hell yeah.
is a phrase that people might say a lot, but it's rarely actually true.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, thanks again, guys. It's been fun. That's a good one. Yeah.
Thanks for having us,
cheers.
homie.
I'm already done, but anyway.
Lauren, with the name it again. What were you drinking tonight?
Pineapple Sunrise.
And you have to say it with your face like that, like you absolutely hate it.
Pineapple Sunrise. It really, actually, it was not the. You know what? It was a test. It was a
was.
test. It slightly failed. But it's
It
fine.
failed.
Right, you gotta try.
Kind of. I mean,
You
I
gotta
had
try.
my Sprite and my grenadine, so I had I created a damn usual Shirley Temple. It's fine.
Yeah, with little peanut pale and some
like
some of that.
some
yeah,
fruits.
Sure.
Some fruits were
Sure.
in there. Yes.
The one thing you didn't try was Mezcal 33. The Glühgusche Fliegen.
Dan tried all of it. All of it.
I like the way that it's booze. Drinks in a movie. When's the fucking movie start? Jesus Christ.
You are the movie, child.
I like how it burns.
All right. Cutting.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the Drinks in a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks in a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksinamoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.